This is FULCRUM, a Star Wars podcast. Your way of tapping into the Force from a galaxy far, far away. Hello there.
Hello, what have we here? Here's where the fun begins.
Count me in.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to FULCRUM, a Star Wars podcast, where today we conclude our coverage of Season 1 of The Acolyte, and I sure hope there's a Season 2, because they planned for it, and I hope they go ahead and get it. But yeah, we got the Season 1 finale on the docket today. It was actually titled The Acolyte. That was the name of the episode as well, befitting of the episode. It was directed by Hanelle M. Culpepper and written by Jason McAuliffe. I'm Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. And man, we have officially concluded our first season of television coverage on FULCRUM, a Star Wars podcast. How did you dig overall The Acolyte in its first season?
Whoa. I don't know. It brought a lot of things, or had a lot of claims at the beginning that were kind of crazy, and I'm like, okay, let's see. You know, I'll go in neutral as always to things, and they were claiming some lightsaber fighting better than prequel era, and goddamn, they delivered on that one.
They
100%.
did, man. And that was one of those things that I did not think was possible. And
yeah.
I mean, the last one. I mean, in this episode. Chimera versus Soul it might be my favorite lightsaber battle we've ever gotten. Like, period. Which is pretty fucking gnarly.
It's crazy to deliver on that promise. Like, I mean, whenever I heard it, I'm like, okay, they have to market.
You're marketing.
You know, yeah. You have to market your show. That's awesome. But like, okay, like there's no way. And no, they did. And then also like to create just all these new characters, all these new possibilities for Star Wars to go down now, and you know the season 2. I guess there's going to be a lot of season 2 talk, but just the routes that we can go now, I think are really
it's
fun.
a lot more vast than strictly a season 2. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like the Acolyte as we know it, as we came to know this story specifically, it's pretty well and good and wrapped for the most part. The mystery came to a close. We know exactly what happened. The 4 Jedi died. Vernestra did her cover-up. Osha's descent was completed. Chimera got his pupil. That is pretty much every story that was actually important to the season. It unfolded and it concluded. You know what I'm saying? There is something exciting about this where it almost feels like they're setting up an era. Like
an in-between.
Not just going, all right, anything we do in this era is going to be explored through the Acolyte. The Acolyte launches this part of the timeline. Almost. You know what I'm saying? In the way The Mandalorian did the post-Episode 6, pre-Episode 7 thing. I feel like the Acolyte might be working to do that a little bit.
Because we're like, it's like less than 100 years or so removed from like Palpatine. So like, we really don't have that much time. Like a big gripe where people are saying is like, this is supposed to be a time of peace with the Jedi. And it's like, well, I mean like, so, overall peace, you know, it's like this
there's not a galactic war going
we're not
on, you know?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's kind of crazy, but like it has to start somewhere. Like this, it's cool that like I feel like we're getting just how Anakin or how like the Sith cooked up. Like maybe they were just attempting to do this. This is what the Sith just attempted to do in the shadows for so long, but we didn't get it until Anakin, or it wasn't successful till then, or whatever. But yeah, I like the idea of like this era, kind of like a in between the High Republic and the, I guess, what's the just. Is it the Clone Wars, or like what is that the era that starts?
It's called the Fall of the Jedi. Officially, is like the era of the prequels, is what it's titled. Is the Fall of the Jedi.
The Acolyte era. Yeah, this is like a
it could be pretty strong, you know, and because there's just a lot they do in this episode that I anticipate, and that's the other thing too. It's not impossible to do in a season 2. You know what I'm saying? Like they could do everything they want to do. It seems like everything they've set up in a second season. Now, would I like it to be longer than 8 35-minute episodes? Absolutely.
Yeah.
That might be my sole gripe, no pun intended, with the show as it stood. As far as a overarching gripe with the entire series is that I bet it plays a ton better as a binge. I get that they couldn't because, you got to get that subscription money, and I don't want them to drop it all at once. I like the hype week to week. I want that. I imagine I will feel a lot better about it on a binge because I like the show. I like it a lot. It was super exciting. There are some fun, new, interesting characters. The production design is wonderful. There are some misses every once in a while, but on the whole, it looks good. It feels good. Mm-hmm. It's just a little quick for my taste. I feel like we get. I don't know. It feels like they're adhering to a formula that doesn't need to exist.
They need to make things like
however
the
long they
process, like in every storyline, and it is cool for some things to mirror and for that to happen, and like it is like Osha and May's storyline definitely like it's what's happening the whole time, and that's cool. But like I feel like they do it with other characters like Soul.
And Chimere.
They flipped completely. And then like Soul at the end of that episode was like, you're going to listen to, I've been waiting to tell you this seeming all evil Sith, like, stereotypical. Yeah. And then we get to like his reaction, and I kind of expected more of, I don't know, we didn't get he didn't continue with the evil or necessarily, I don't know, I thought we were going to get more of like a scowling, I guess. But
he's vaguely threatening more than anything. Yeah, it's just so like I think it all in all I'm very satisfied. I had a great time with season 1 of The Acolyte. I do think it's just like any other season of television. It has its failings. But we are here to discuss the finale as it stands. So if you would like, we can go ahead and jump into a scene by scene.
Gonna need to try to keep
gear up.
Yes, I need to try to not let the waters loose.
Hey, if they do, they do. That's what we're here for. We're here to discuss. But we open on Osha with the helmet on her head. Chimere watches on, satisfied until something is wrong. She twitches and takes hold of Chimere's mind, the way her mother was capable of. And Chimere fights it, but is ultimately overcome until he is able to remove the helmet before the worst happens. She gasps with red flashes in her eyes, and she gathers herself. It's cool that you could see the vision she was having in her eyes. Yeah. That's gnarly. It
wasn't like the yellow. I kind of thought it was just going to be the yellow Sith eyes. And then I don't know. This was a cool. I don't know. This has never come up in Star Wars before, right?
I don't think so. Like this specifically.
I don't know.
Like a vision overtaking somebody and then being lost in it a little bit. I think. I can't recall one off the top of my head. I feel like Rey has a moment similar to it whenever she's training on Octu, and she's like, "There's something on this planet," and he's like, "Yes, powerful light, powerful darkness," and she's like, "It's calling to me," and the ground starts to crack underneath her and stuff. Like he's able to get her out of there, but like if he didn't, it could have gotten away from them, and that's. So there is something interesting about, obviously, she was tapping into the dark side of the Force, and more interestingly, she was unknowingly tapping into a power, I'm assuming, her mother took years to cultivate. Another thing that was interesting that I didn't really think about when it came to the overtaking of Kelnaka's mind a couple episodes ago. Or was that... Jesus, was that last episode? Holy shit.
Yeah, that was last episode.
Wow. Been a long week. But something that struck me was that Anaseo was able to take over Torben by herself easily. Is that to speak to her level of power compared to the other witches?
I would think so.
So the witches needed to do a ritual together to overtake Kelnaka, whereas she can just do that. So if she trained to be able to do that, and Osha has never even trained to do that, and is able to tap into that power, we get a glimpse of just how powerful Osha is without knowing it.
Yeah, we don't. And it seems that they see into the future as well, or have some, because like May or Osha saw the end of the episode, or at least partially. It wasn't clear. She thought that
plays
May
out
was,
pretty much exactly as she thinks, but she thought it was May, and maybe that's just an assumption she made.
I guess the outfits, like it's literally like we have flipped outfits completely. The only difference is Pip's light is red. That's
right.
And the mark on the forehead, I guess, would be the only difference. But maybe
just an assumption that she never would do that. So she's like,
yeah, that has to be May.
Must be doing that. So I think it'd be interesting if what she did see was her, but she's just like, nope, that's not something I do. She brushes it off and assumes it's, and there's the whole thing where it's like they're the same person now. So it's like, what's that mean? How does that come to be? And it's interesting, but regardless, she gathers herself and she says she saw May, a hand outstretched, and she was killing Soul. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna go check that out. And she says that she can stop her, and they concoct the plan to go find her. This is the future she saw, and they will see it come to pass. In orbit above Brendok, Soul tells May his plan to contact Vernestra and the other Jedi to show them the Vergence on the planet below. Now that both her and Osha are alive, he can prove it. She asks, prove what? That he was justified in the murdering of their mother? And while she speaks, she fiddles with Pip, attempting to unlock her binds. And he says that what happened to her and her coven was an accident. And she retorts that if it was an accident, why would you hide it from Osha? Valid. And he says then that she started the fire and locked everyone in. He says it was right for them to intervene. His only regret was not being able to save both of them. He says that they are not twins. They're not even sisters. They're... and he gets all zapped up. Clearly May doesn't care enough to hear what they are. It's time to go. I love the Deus Ex Machina last second things with the building up to this.
Nope. This is not important to me nor the audience. I guess she's trying to escape. Maybe she's not even really listening to what Soul is saying.
I don't think she is. I think she's just trying to distract him. She raises her voice. She's trying to get him to, not hear Pip working on the binds also, which is why she's yelling. It's all very funny. But this was a good insight into Soul as he stands. We kind of questioned if he was lying to himself, if he was, what was exactly going through his head. And this kind of shows us that he knows exactly what happened. And he's just convinced himself that they were right. He's kind of had to, to cope with something like that, you do kind of have to go, you know what, I was justified. Something had to happen. I
think,
but it was
maybe the reason why it's so up in the air is like, do we even still know what was fully happening there? Like whenever, like I thought we were going to get that answered, like why Mother Anastasia was transforming and like what she was doing with May in that moment, sort of. And
there actually has been an answer to that. It wasn't on screen or anything, but Leslie Headland did an interview, and she was literally just trying to get May and Osha away. That was all she was doing.
Okay. I guess, man, I feel like maybe it's just not... I feel like I maybe just needed more... I felt like there was just... It felt like there was a mystical aspect to it. I don't know. Like in...
Oh, and there was. But, she was turning them into dust.
Yeah, and so, like... Obviously, killing their mom is not the move. That is never the answer. I guess it's like Soul, his justification is I saw a scary thing, that was taking you away, so I stabbed the mom. And yeah, it's like it is just such a like I thought that there was going to be something that like definitively, I guess maybe it is just visual enough, and that is all to go off of. But Yeah, I don't know.
To definitively, like, vindicate him?
Like,
or
just to make him the, like, for
or
sure
vilify him.
to make it for sure he's the villain, like that he made the wrong decision for sure.
Yeah,
but,
no. I mean, I think that what establishes that he made the wrong decision is what she says immediately after, where she's like, I was going to let her go. You know? Like, that's... You just fucked up, you know? Like,
yeah.
This fight was about to break out. I wanted to stop it. You got scared. That's how it goes, you know?
Yeah, damn. It's just such a fucky, like, it sucks what happened.
It's a gray, yeah, no, like it is,
so,
it's a muddled gray area. And I think that's the point, you know? Like, I don't think they were trying to make it crystal clear. You know, there had to be the chance that Soul thought he was right, or else he would have gone into exile the way the others did. Like, there has to be that element to him that's not just completely refusing reality. Like, there is enough on the table there that he can justify the actions in his head, you know, like, and that his only regret would be not being able to save them. You know, he thought Anaseo was doing some fuck shit. He killed her then and there. We know it's not justified, but to him, he can try to justify it because he saw something dark. He saw something scary. He felt darkness, you know? So, like, there's a little bit of a gray area there for sure. But she makes her way through the ship to an escape pod, and she narrowly manages to launch off and into the rings orbiting the moon of Brendok. This was a clean-ass sequence.
Thank you. Thank you for this one. Yeah, this was...
Yeah, this was gnarly. Mm-hmm. This was fucking cool.
And the two lanes of the rings, and then, like, the little connections between them, like, it looked really fucking pretty. And I love how like May's like, oh yeah, no, we're good. He can't follow us here. And then Soul's just like, he's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm coming down there,
bulldozing the shit. Yeah,
dude's on a mission, man. Soul.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that there's an obsession in him, which is why I didn't entirely agree with the fact that we didn't see the continued darkness in him in this episode. I think it just kind of changes form into almost like a pleading necessity. Like, he's like, I have to do this. You will listen. You have to listen, because if you don't, what was it all for? Kind of, you know, like, and it was a little bit more scary last episode, but I think that was more because it was from the perspective of May a little bit, was seeing him like that. She was flinching, you know. If she wasn't flinching, do we we know he's tense, but is he threatening? You know, she's like, she's frightened, you know. So, like, there's a little bit of a perspective thing going on. But anyway, Soul runs to the cockpit and pursues, but his ship is far too large and she knows it, and he tries harder and harder to get her ship in the sights, to disable her ship and bring her in. I'm assuming to hit her with an ion cannon, and I'm assuming he hasn't thought this through.
Yeah, that would have not been good. That, like,
nope, not at all.
And that's why the only, like, I was confused as to what Soul's, like, what is he doing here? You know, like, he was if all of this went well, she would have stayed on that bed trapped, and they would have just gotten to Brendok.
Gotten to Brendok, yeah.
So I guess maybe that's where, you know, it all would have gone down. Maybe that's where he wanted to get, you know, he was
ideally nothing goes down.
So,
you
but
know,
he wanted to prove. He says now that May is here, he can prove the fact that they are a virgins. Is that, like,
that they're the result of a virgins, I think, is what he wanted to prove. I don't know how he intended to prove that.
Yeah, I guess we can get there. I don't know if we want to let that seal break yet, but I think that's an interesting, like, if Soul doesn't die and Soul gets what he wants, you know, ideally, and he goes to the Jedi Council, what does he do to show them that they,
I don't know,
you know, like, how does having the both of them prove that they came from a virgins? And it I don't know, it felt like he kind of knew something that other people didn't, or maybe there's just knowledge of they knew that they were created from Emergence and having the two of them, they can do the test again to prove that they're like.
I'm
the
assuming
same
it would be
person,
the tests,
you know,
yeah, like the
and
symbionts and everything, and being like, and this is the Vergence, this is where it is, you know, like, so I'm sure he had some sort of idea, but like,
because is it the moons were like lining up again, and I didn't know if that was a coincidence. Like it seemed that like if Soul knew, like, I don't know. Is that just?
Oh, I didn't clock that. I didn't think that was
maybe
important,
it was just perspective. Maybe it like I guess from the planet they weren't lining up, but I guess they just did a shot from space of them lining up.
Oh,
so yeah, it
okay.
wasn't. I guess
see.
not a true eclipse. So yeah, that's. But yeah, I guess I just there's this. I feel like there is still a part of the mystery that we don't quite know yet, and I mean we do have another season coming,
which is how they were. How they were created?
Either how, yes. Like, I guess we know literally that they were carried in coral, you know, like, so, and there was some manipulation done by Anastasia, you know, and that could be enough. But it just, I don't know why I have this feeling that there's something that they're hiding. Like, there's some, maybe that's just the you know, the Sith, how they know about it all, and that's just it.
Well, there's another important part of this episode that we are going to get to eventually.
That's why
at the end.
I almost let it go.
No, and I mean not just that, but the end. Like, there's a part at the ending of the episode that I'm really excited to talk about and speculate about because I don't know what the fuck it means, and I would like to. It's too specific to have been included without purpose, you know, like. And we'll get there. But
okay.
Yeah, they anywho, he tries to get her in the ship's sights, but Basil takes issue with that, gets mad, rips some wires out of a console, disabling his ship, causing both of them to crash down onto the planet of Brendok. But back on Coruscant, Vernestra is impeded upon by Padawan Mog, who informs her that Ryan Court is in the control room waiting to speak with her. She is quite disappointed he let him in there. And she enters to find the senator, who has become quite keen on Vernestra personally, and furthermore the secret investigation she has been conducting. And this is where David Harwood came in, which frankly, I'm all here for. This is the guy that I was like, this guy's confirmed to be a part of the cast. If he hasn't been in it yet,
oh my god,
he's almost certainly the Sith guy, you know?
We thought
just Senator Ryan Court. Which is cool, you know. It's actually even better. I'd prefer him to be on screen and not a voice, you know. Like I would, because goddamn does he look dope, and goddamn is he a cool fucking senator.
Yeah,
I like this guy.
It seems he's going to be a pretty big role in season 2.
If there's a season 2, he will be a part of it.
He's spearheading this investigation. So I mean, I think they're spinning something really cool. You know, season 2 is setting up to be really cool, and it's just I get. A Sith Master would have been cool. Yeah, it would have been nice. But this is a nice route that they're going down. But
well, it's even more exciting because if Ryan Court, how does his perspective of the Jedi evolve? Does it get poisoned even further, potentially by aligning himself with a Sith? And is that how they are capable of infiltrating the Senate? And is that how they are capable of toppling the Republic, because they make their way in through a senator who has not a personal vendetta against the Jedi, as he makes clear, but reasonable qualms with the Jedi, you know? Like, it's not started as this guy just fucking hates the Jedi. It's a guy who has notable and meaningful criticisms.
Yeah.
And they're like, you get it, man. Let's figure this shit out. You know, like, I wonder if there's something there.
Is it radical though at the time? Is his ideas like, so this group though that's there at the end, are they in agreement with him, or are they just normal Senate members hearing this?
That's the Senate tribunal he brings up here in a second.
Okay. So he would be,
in fact, whenever he goes, we need to surpass a vote of the Senate and go ahead and conduct the investigation. Everyone looks around like, whoa, that's a big fucking step. They all kind of like look at each other and start murmuring before Vernestra brings it up. So like, he is a little bit of a radical. It's interesting going back to the age of the High Republic books, because we had groups like the Path of the Open Hand, which were a small cult-like entity. They definitely become a cult. They might not have initially been a cult, more of a religion that becomes spirals. But they were staunchly anti-Jedi, you know, like you do not manipulate the Force. That is not something that's okay. And that's not where he's coming from, you know? He's just like, if y'all lose it, it'll get bad, you know, like, and that makes sense, you know? And so I think that his perspective of it, he just doesn't, he sees the Jedi for what they are, which is people, you know, not superheroes who are always good. Like they are
kind of unchecked.
They're people.
Like and I feel because he says that, like, or maybe Vernestra kind of responds with like, well, the majority of the other senators,
the
would
Senate
not
doesn't
feel,
agree.
They would not agree with you, and I feel because like the Jedi are seen, they're everywhere. There's one on every planet. They're stationed everywhere. They're
and they
glorified.
have been for a very long time.
Yeah, they're the peacekeepers. They're the protectors. So like I feel like, is this kind of like the first time that someone is like, maybe we've let them go on for too long? Like, is this like the first instance of this idea coming up, or is it just like it's always died out? Like this idea might have been around in the High Republic, but maybe this is the first time it gets traction.
Like, one of the interesting things to think about is like, if this were real, if there was a religious entity who had the ability to do things that the Jedi can do, and they ingrained themselves with our government and helped run things. Yeah, you know, like, it's actually astonishing that it is as okay with people as it is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
maybe it's just kind of like a fear thing, because like Vernestra even is like, you know, like that'll be all. She opens the door and kind of like stunts on him. You know, she's like, look at what I can do.
Look at what I'm capable of.
I'm standing over here. It's nothing to me, but to you, this is a godlike maneuver. You know, and so it does feel like there is this, like, what are we going to do if we stand against the Jedi? Then, you know, every time the Jedi we
don't stand a fucking chance.
It's like, what are we gonna do? So, this perspective is very like it's. I feel like we've only known the Jedi as this glorified,
and that's what's interesting is that like, he kind of embodies the perspective of the Jedi that comes along with the Clone Wars and the Separatist movement and everything. Like, whenever they start to go, like, the Jedi are the enemy, you know, it is the Republic, but like, the Jedi are the generals. They shouldn't be fighting the fucking war, you know? Like, there are people within the Republic who are like, they shouldn't be doing that. That's not a thing they should do. You know, like, it's a...
I guess it's got to start from somewhere. Like this,
it does.
Those,
you know,
before it gets to war, like this is, man, what a really cool era to actually get. Like
explore a little bit. You know, the seeds of everything, and it's just enough to, because I would really be excited by the prospect of this senator falling victim to the manipulation of a Sith. You know what I'm saying? Like, not necessarily aligning himself with him. Like, I like what you're about. You want to destroy the Jedi, but kind of like the Sith being like, don't you already think this? What if we tried this? You know, like, what if we did this? Because that's kind of Plagueis' whole deal. And we won't dive into this. Is that he's tactful. He's intelligent. He's not brute force. He is. He's manipulative. He's similar to Palpatine. You know, like, there's a reason Palpatine's that way. You know, like, he's got ideas.
That's one side of Chimera we haven't really seen a whole lot, is his Luthen kind of side, where he takes that drunken whatever, and he's the guy who can get anything or whatever. You know, and maybe that's just because he's a Sith. You know, he's just powerful enough where he can get anything. But maybe he does have, like, he's established. Maybe he has some characters that he puts on, kind of like a Luthen, and is infiltrated himself. Probably.
Could be interesting. It could be interesting. I doubt it's the Senate itself, but there's aspects he could find himself in that I would believe, you know, because that's another thing with the dark side, is it shields itself. You know, like, Palpatine sat across the table from the Jedi Council and they had no idea he was a Sith Lord. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
oh man, that's
a dark power. You know.
I love. How are people still saying this? Like, how are these Jedi not sensing the Sith users right here? And it's like
that's what the Sith fucking do. You goddamn
the
idiot.
Movies.
Oh, one of my favorite ones. It actually just happened whenever she was escaping the ship. And she says, "See you in hell, Jedi." For some reason, this week's thing is hell. She said hell.
Didn't
hell gets said in the first two fucking movies?
Han Solo says it like. I feel like
Han
I just
Solo
remember
says
Han
it in the beginning of Hoth.
See in hell
like he's like,
or something. I don't
see
know.
in hell.
Yeah, like a.
You know, there's I can't remember what. I think Uncle Owen says it in the first one. So it's like, dude, what the fuck are you on about? I saw another one today that was like, so Plagueis learns the power to create life from a group of lesbian witches. This is just, you know, like, okay. Plagueis didn't just come up with that. You know, he did have to learn it. So if he had to learn it, is your only issue who he learned it from? And guess what? That makes you a fucking homophobe and a sexist. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like that's
ideally in their mind, they want Plagueis to just sit and meditate and come up with the idea. He just spontaneously, it's all him because.
Well, and also it's a huge fucking leap.
Like
it's a huge fucking leap. We see him for one goddamn second, and we don't know anything about what he knows. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a giant leap to take. Like, what are we talking about?
It's clear whenever people are grasping at these things. Hell, that's pretty clear.
That's weak.
If you're complaining
fuck.
about that, then you're complaining about George. Okay, if George is sacred and you know and it is Star Wars, then I guess we're already fucked from the beginning because Han Solo said hell. So it's a weird state of Star Wars right now. It's a very hateful.
No, it's bad,
state.
man. Like, I mean, it's. I don't. It sucks that everything became politicized. You know, not just like if this show comes out in 2007, you know, there'd be tweaks. You know, it wouldn't be the exact same show by any stretch of the imagination. But if you still had a black person leading the cast with an Asian Darksider and an Asian Jedi Master, and you know, like if you have this diverse cast and you throw them in this show in 2007, do you know how much people fucking love this show 17 years ago? You know what I'm saying? Like this becomes an instant fucking classic 17 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like it's post 2016, things really have changed, you know, as far as the vocalness of bigots, and they are willing to just hate this shit because it's written by a gay woman, and there's queer people in it, and there's people of color in it, and that just automatically makes it bad. Like, you know, there are fair gripes to have with this show. Like, for one, and we'll get more into this a little later on because I have more reasons for it a little later on. Osha is an incredible character. A great character. May is kind of nothing. I don't think May is a very good character at all. You know, and that's a gripe you can have. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that has to do with the show, you know? Like, that's fine. It's woke. What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck does that mean? You know?
I think
it has people of color and queer people in it.
It's just that they come in with that lens immediately, and that's the only way, the only thing that they're looking for when they're watching the show, because obviously they're watching it. People, it's funny that they say that they're not going to watch it and they're boycotting the shit, but it's clear you're watching it so that you can gripe about it. Or it's even worse that they don't watch the show and they only gripe about the things that they see on Twitter or like
other
on
people
social
gripe
media.
About.
And it's like, well, maybe watch the rest of the show and get the cool literal best lightsaber fights that we've ever seen in Star Wars history. I have no doubt in my mind.
They expect
to say that.
like, and because it was written by a woman, because it was led by a queer person of color, because there's a bunch of people of color in it, they expect so strongly that they will fail the franchise as it stands somehow. They expect, because of their perspective of who these people are that are making it, that somehow they're going to fuck it up. You know what I'm saying? So they look for everything they could. This breaks canon. No, it doesn't. No, it fucking doesn't.
Yeah.
You know? Vernestra perfectly covered this shit up. There's no way they know about the Sith. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's...
They picked apart Andor and bricks and shit, you know, like that's the level that they were getting at. And Andor is the best Star Wars that's ever been created. So it's like, if it's just because it's Disney Star Wars, we're not in George, we're not in the sacred era anymore. You know, we have corporate Star Wars now.
Well, and not to mention, they fucking hated the prequels. You know what I'm saying? They fucking hated the prequels. All of a sudden, they're fucking gospel, man. All of a sudden, they are just perfect. They're perfect fucking movies. So, if you're going to hate shit, hate it because you hate it. And if you do hate it, don't fucking watch it. You know?
Yeah.
Don't decide you hate it before you watch it. That's just how it goes. Sorry to go off on that rant for a while, but it just really pisses me off.
Yeah, it's just been rough in the Star Wars community recently. But at least we know who the good ones are. It's nice. It's a weed out. We've weeded out a bunch of people.
Every single time they release something, we weed out a few more. You know, they find their group in grifting. It's wonderful. They just get in this echo chamber of hatefulness. It's awesome. But yeah. So this conversation with the senator continues. She accidentally reveals that there have been multiple victims, all of which are Jedi. But she says that they are very close to apprehending a subject. And she is very snide and chippy with him, and he takes notice. And he says he knows she doesn't like him, and that she thinks his inquiries and review of the Jedi are a personal vendetta, but it isn't. He thinks the Jedi are a massive system of unchecked power posing as a religion. They're a delusional cult that claims to control the uncontrollable. And she retorts, we don't control the Force. And he says, no, not that. Your fucking emotions. You know, it's not possible to restrain yourselves on that level. You act as though you are perfectly well-tempered, but when one of you snaps, who could possibly stop you? And she understands his fear all too well, as we come to know, but dismisses the fear altogether and dismisses him in kind. I'm sorry, my dog is barking.
No, yeah, in mic drop fashion as well. I mean, she's kind of proving his point a little bit by doing this, like by kind of like, I don't know. Vernestra's kind of sending me like mixed signals here. Like he's saying these things of saying you're unchecked and you are this very massive power that we have no control over, and then she's kind of proving his point by being like, yeah, no, I am that. So leave and we'll figure our shit out. But
well, it goes back into that the hubris of the Order. You know, they understand that people will have that perspective of them, but the whole point of the Order is that they're so thoroughly good that they can't do any wrong, essentially. You know, like not as a collective, any single one of them can fuck up, and that's bad, that, oh no, they don't represent our actions. We condemn that. That's okay. And even that was a lie. But like, even so, she's one of the important things that I've seen a lot of people get upset about, because this is another thing we'll come back to later, is that Chimere was Vernestra's Padawan. Which we kind of clocked that a few episodes ago, but it was nice to get that connection, that confirmation. It was like she didn't know he was alive. She's like, holy shit. Okay. So that was cool. One of the things that people are real upset about is that her master in the book, Stellan Gios, that his lineage would result in a Sith master. And that Vernestra would go out of her way to frame Soul and cover this up. Like, that doesn't line up with what the book Vernestra would do. And to that I would say, maybe not, but it's also been 100 years since the books. A lot can fucking happen. A lot can change. But also, something that Stellan was always really about was his steadfastness in the Order. And she's kind of become more and more like the book version of him. Like, by all accounts, we do what is best for the Jedi. We trust the Council. We do this. That is what we are, you know? And she is really taking after that, you know? And in a huge way, she's propelling that image forward, you know? And I think that it ends up, you know, it reflects on her in an interesting way, and we know it inevitably results in the death of tens of thousands of Jedi, which really, really sucks. But there's also this element that when you are so deep and entrenched in dogma and in this sort of thing, you just got to throw it all away and be like, well, we're going to revamp it. You know, like, yeah, that might be what it needs, but it's completely unreasonable to expect that of them on a grand scale.
She was doing what she thought was in the best interest to protect the Order, but in doing so, not directly, but eventually, you know, if this was maybe brought to light, the Order, you know, I don't know if the Order knows of this. Does it necessarily mean the action, you know, like that Anakin doesn't exist anyways, and this stuff all happens? Like,
I mean, if the issue is again the Senate and the Jedi being intertwined. If the Senate and the Jedi aren't intertwined, she doesn't feel the need to cover it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, they go and figure it out. It's the politicization of it all. Sorry to tie it back in, but like the politicking and the figuring out their image and trying to project an image of strength, like, there's a chance that if they weren't tied together and if there wasn't an external review of the Jedi on the table, she'd just go to the Council and she'd be like, hey, we've got a fucking problem. You know, one of our own has fallen to the dark side. We need to go deal with that. But because they are so entrenched with the Senate, because they are so tied to the government, all eyes are on them, and they have to deal with that sort of stuff in secrecy. And Vernestra has the hubris of a Jedi. She can stop that on her own.
I see. Yeah, it is this back and forth. It is all good intentions from both sides initially, but just the systems of each other kind of. Yeah,
like, it's just not gonna. They don't work together well, you know, and they did for a long time. You know, it's not. But like, first off, we can't even comprehend an interplanetary government. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We can't even unify a global government. You know what I'm saying? So like, the idea that, so let's talk about it as if it was just on Earth. There was one republic, the Republic of the Earth, and on every country, and on every continent, you go 50 miles that way, go 50 miles that way. There is I'm gonna go real. There's a version of the Vatican, you know, like, it's just like every single place you go, there's something there that's like, this is the religion of the Republic, essentially, you know, and they're not forcing it onto their followers or anything, but you just kind of have to accept that that's their religion is, like, for some reason, super down with the fucking Republic. You know what I'm saying? Like, they go wherever the Republic goes. They protect the Republic's interests. And that's not good, typically, you know?
Yeah, it's just, oh man, it's like they both want to do good, but I feel like the Senate does have a right to know that one of them has, like, fallen, you know, but this entanglement isn't really good in the first place. So, like, but how do you, like, you want to be transparent, but also,
what's the consequence that's handed down from the Senate? Like, what are we fearing? You know, like, is it just a public image thing? Is it just the idea that the Jedi aren't infallible? You know, is it just the idea that the Jedi are vulnerable and they can be swayed to the dark side? They can use their power for evil. And then, do they not have their reach anymore? Do they not have their access anymore? Do they not have their resources anymore? So, like, there's a little bit of a selfishness there, you know, like at bare minimum. So like it's well intentioned because they want to do good, and the way they can keep doing good is if they can keep having the resources of the Republic. And you know, so like it's a real double-edged sword there. But he says he has reported her to Chancellor Drellick for her lack of transparency, and she may be called to a Senate tribunal to discuss. And he says, "May the Force be with you," and he leaves. Chancellor Drellick, I like. You know, we got another Chancellor name, which is cool. You know, we've known in the High Republic books Chancellor Chancellor Valorum, Chancellor Drellick, Chancellor Palpatine. There's a different Chancellor at the time. There's actually 2 Chancellors in Phase 2 of High Republic, but I can't remember their names off the top of my head. But so we've gotten 6 canonical Chancellors, which is pretty cool. I don't know. And Mon Mothma for the New Republic.
Is the dude right before Palpatine the vote of no confidence? Is that's
Valorum?
That's Valorum. Okay, yeah, I was wondering which one that was. Okay, yeah, that's the only other one I knew of before. But
Drellick.
Yeah,
cool.
We haven't seen him yet though. Just that's the first.
I think he might be the guy at the end who's the alien,
the main. Yeah. Okay. That's
the one at the head of the table that's opposite Vernestra. I think that's the Chancellor. They don't make that clear in the subtitles or anything.
Is that who she's talking to in the hologram in an earlier episode? Is that the?
No, that's a different senator. Senator Chewant, I think, is what his name was.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that could have. I guess I don't know if that is Drellick or if. But that seems like that would be the Chancellor there.
Yeah, that's my guess. It's an important briefing. You know, it's directly affecting him. He was reported to about it. I'm assuming that's Chancellor Drellick. But anyway, back on the mystery planet, Osha leads Chimera to the ship as he inquires where they are going, and she insists it's fair that he doesn't know. It's fair this way, and he questions if he seems fair to her. And she retorts, "Yeah, you know, you made a deal with May and you expected her to uphold it. That was fair, and this is fair." And he's like, "You know what? You seem kind of fucking cool. One more time. You want to train with me?" And she says no, but he's like, "All right, last chance." And she again says she is not her sister. And he says, "Nope, she's not. May took that deal without even fucking thinking about it."
I don't know. That was not like May or Osha still has the handle on the situation, you know? She's still like no, staunchly no, but it's like, is Chimera meaning that like this is the moment that May took the deal? Like everything kind of played out exactly like it just did with her? Or is
no.
just like May,
I don't think so.
May was just in it from the start.
I think Chimera offered and she was like, "Yep." Like there wasn't even this period of thinking about it. It was just like, let's do it. Yeah, fuck yeah. I want my revenge. Let's do this shit. And the thing is that right now, Osha doesn't think she has a reason to seek revenge. You know, like that's why she doesn't harbor any animosity towards the Jedi. You know, she harbors a little resentment towards her sister, you know, for what happened. But like, even that's not dark enough to be like, well, yeah, I'm going to go full Sith mode. You know what I'm saying? It's the betrayal of the Jedi that makes her go, you know what? Fuck it. Which is, you know, like, I loved that scene, and we'll get there. But nearby in a cave as they take off, a mysterious finger lurks into the light, sharp, yellow eyes and no nose. Plagueis watches on. Now, our listener question of the week came from Jocelyn again. Shout out, Jocelyn. You've been holding it down for us. We had Kyler the first couple weeks, Jocelyn for the rest of them. Shout out to you once more. She asked us what we believe the relationship Plagueis has to Chimera is. Because, you know, I responded, I was like, this was going to be a topic of conversation. I'm glad she brought it up. Because she took it at face value the way that I did. The way that I would expect it to be. That he is Chimera's master. And he is spying on Chimera. Chimera, it's not like Chimera knows he's here. You know, he would, like, that's not what's happening. Is that do you feel confident in that? Is that where you're sitting?
The most likely. Like, that's 100%. If I had to put my eggs in a basket, that's what I'm going with. I think it's interesting to explore the possibilities. If Chimere does know that Plagueis is there, it's not as likely. But if he does, why is the point? Like, the Sith have to operate in the shadows. Like, they can't be discovered by the Jedi. So, like, would Plagueis actually operate like that? Would he want to operate like this and have his apprentice go out and do the work for him? Like, is that an option to where? But then I guess why come out? Is it just for the camera to come out and we see him? And that's the reason he comes out. But
see, and the thing with that is the rule of two exists. And they pretty staunchly follow that, It's not like he's like, go seek out more acolytes, Like that's why I'm like, if Chimere is his apprentice, which I do think it is, Chimere is trying to train an apprentice. Again, back to my theory that stood the whole time, so that he can kill Plagueis. Like that is my premier assumption for Chimere's motivations, is that he wants an acolyte so that he can become the Sith Lord. That's what I expect. Now, another fun possibility, and this takes a lot more assumptions going on. That's the explanation. Given what we've seen in the show, that's my informed assumption. My fun, crackpot, more explanation is that Plagueis is at this time himself an apprentice. And he has been sent out by his master, Darth Tenebrous, to seek out any other Darksiders who may be threatening their existence by accidentally exposing them.
Okay.
I like that idea too, kind of being like there are a couple Darksiders that are getting too bold. They're doing too much. They can't know the dark side, that Sith still exist. Go find them. And how that culminates. I don't anticipate that being the case though, because you can't go a lot of places with that in season 2. It just means Plagueis shows up and fucking kills them.
What could make it interesting, my crackpot angle, is if Plagueis knew of the creation of May and Osha and has been studying it for a while now, and he hasn't just begun to study it. He's been letting this cook,
I'm gonna tie you back to that here.
You got a theory as well?
I got one there. You speculated you questioned how Chimere ties into Osha and May, how he met May, essentially. And you speculated very early on, and we've moved on from this indelibly, which is that he somehow gave them the knowledge. There's a line later of how to create through the Force.
Okay.
At the Virgins.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
There's a line later on during May and Osha's goodbye when they're reciting the rhyme, where May asks, "Who taught us that?"
Oh.
And Osha's like, "I thought you made it up."
It's just something they've always known.
It's just something they've always known.
Or who.
So, and there's more theories to go on there, but it would be very interesting if that's some sort of Sith power of two, the rule of two, always one, born as two, like there's, and if it is truly Plagueis has been watching over her and them their entire lives, and in doing so, that would be interesting.
He's doing what Palpatine did, or I don't know if it's confirmed. Palpatine put Anakin in Shmi.
He didn't, but yeah.
So I guess it's fan theory. So it's not even, maybe it feels like that's what they're cooking to, at least that.
Well, the idea in the Plagueis novel that I actually haven't read, but this has been a very important topic of discussion because of the Acolyte, so it's come up a lot, is that Palpatine and Plagueis worked together to try to create life through the Force. And it was the Force itself that responded to that by creating Anakin.
Oh.
They were trying something unnatural, so the Force tried to balance it naturally. And that's at least how it's as far as I know, again, I haven't read it. I might be misinterpreting the way people are discussing it. But that's always been my perspective of it as well, was that, like, the darkness was rising, the Force tried to correct it, and created Anakin. And that's also why this show doesn't break canon, because Anastasia created them through the Force. The Force itself didn't create them, which is what happened with Anakin. At least that's how I look at it.
Yeah, Anakin seems like if Palpatine was literally directly involved, it doesn't feel good. Like it just.
I don't think Palpatine met Anakin until the Phantom. I don't think he knows Anakin exists until the Phantom Menace. You know, like maybe he does because of the midichlorians and like the strength in the Force. Maybe he's aware that a child out there exists. But when it comes to why Maul was sent to Naboo and all of that, it's to deal with the Jedi who are interfering with the stuff they are trying to take over on Naboo. You know, like it's so. That's why I'm like, I've never been of the mind that Palpatine knew from the time Anakin was born that this was going to be his guy. This was going to be his kid. You know, because otherwise, I don't know why he has Maul. I don't know why he has Dooku. You know, I think he just cooks and waits. You know, like that's just kind of how it's just kind of how he goes about it.
Man,
but
yeah, I guess Plagueis. It would be interesting if Tenebrous. How is it?
Tenebrous. I've said Tenebrous. Yeah, I don't know if that's right.
If he is alive or not. Like if Plagueis is the true Sith Lord right now or not. If how high it goes up. But I feel like his helmet might be to shield himself from Plagueis. Like I feel like it is. He's running. It feels like to me that Chimera is running from Plagueis. Like there's been something that's happened before. Maybe that scar isn't from Vernestra like we thought. Maybe it's from Plagueis.
That's always been like, I'm like it looks like it could be from Force Lightning, which is what I think is the more exciting option and doesn't make Vernestra look as bad.
Yeah.
Because she wouldn't fucking do that. That would be something that if they did that, I would actually be pissed about the characterization. Like right now, there's nothing that's been like, okay, that's way too far. Like, no, like, she's a lot older. She's been entrenched in the Jedi Order. The dogma's grown. Like, yeah, that makes sense. I follow. You know, it's the same thing happens with, like, Obi-Wan. You know, I'd like to think Obi-Wan wouldn't let this, but, you know, like, it happened. Same thing with Yoda. I would like to think he wouldn't, but it happened. You know, like, so, regardless, I love all these characters. That would be something that I'd be like, that's something she wouldn't do. You know what I'm saying? Plagueis, however, obviously would. Cast aside by his master. You know, it's framed like the Jedi. He's very dodgy about answering that response. You know, given a response to that questioning by Osha, and is like, you know, so like I think his Sith master cast him aside. I think that's much more likely.
Or both, like
I mean, both did. Yeah.
I guess in Vernestra, like she had a pupil that fell. You know, she thought that Chimera was dead. I guess I wonder how that interaction went. You know, to leave her thinking that Chimera was dead. Maybe it was just. Maybe he just disappeared and he never, you know, Vernestra never saw him again, and she just thought he was dead. Like I don't know, but it feels like.
And are we getting to the heart of the mystery in season 2, if there is one? You know, like the falling out of Vernestra and Chimera and all that. You know, like that feels.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty confident in that.
So
I mean, like this season, the end of this season pivots. Like it's like it opens to the point where it's like, Vernestra seems like she'd be the main character in season 2, and like with I mean, like it would still be May and Osha. They're the heart of the show, you know, but like Vernestra becomes the soul.
Yeah.
You know, like the way that he was the main character, because I kind of look at him like that. But like she becomes that character in this show after that. And I love that. I would love for her to be a bigger part because, I mean, like I liked how big of a part she was, but I would like for her to be an even bigger part.
Yeah,
but regardless, sorry to go off on that.
Yeah, it's a talkative episode though. That's gonna it's a
we're maybe 15 minutes in and we're an hour into the recording, so maybe we pick it up a little bit. But back on Brendock. Sol turns his transmitter back on and exits his ship. He makes his way to find May. And on Coruscant, Vernestra comms to a mystery man, insists she has an urgent message to get to somebody. And the man responds that this is highly unorthodox, but he will see what he can do. Assuming this is regarding Yoda at the end of the episode. But Mog enters to inform her that Sol is no longer AWOL and is on Brendok. She rises and tells Mog to prepare her ship and gather as many knights as possible without rousing suspicion. He asks if she anticipates confrontation, but she anticipates a resolution. One thing that we haven't talked about on the air that I'm really, really satisfied with is that Vernestra's ship is called the Canteros, which is the name of her first Padawan, which is really cute. I love that. Makes me very happy as an Imri Canteros fan.
That's nice. Nice when little things like that. That is just. Is it even in the book? Like, is it? I guess this is a new ship. She probably doesn't even have this ship.
Yeah, no, she.
So
no, yeah, like
just their creation totally. So wow, that is nice that they're.
It's a really good choice, you know. Like they are looking at the books and going like, how would she honor the people who came before her? You know, because I mean, Imri's a human. She outlived her Padawan. You know what I'm saying? And that's really fucking sad. You know, like I hate thinking about that. It actually fucking pains me to think about that.
Yeah.
Like, and that was another reason why whenever people were like, Stellan's lineage culminated in a Sith master, it's like, we don't know what Imri ended up doing. Chill out. Imri probably ended up taking a Padawan and they're fine. You know, it's all good.
Wow.
But back on Brendok, we see Osha and Kymir enter the atmosphere, and he attempts to take control and speak to her, but she is able to power down his ship, which is very funny. And she leads them directly to the fortress. I loved that sequence whenever he's like, so you gonna tell me what we're doing? You know, long way from home. Flicks him off. He's like, he like flips the switch a couple times. He's like, God damn, man, this
is going so much worse than last time. He's like,
I kind of have a crush on you, man. Shit.
Yes.
But Sol finds his way to the fortress where everything had changed 16 years earlier. He hears the echoes of that night and he shouts for May, but he cannot find her. She's seen climbing out of the pit she was once dropped down and making her way to her old bedroom. Outside, Osha and Kymir attempt to break into the elevator that is now operational, or not operational, I should say, and Kymir disappears without a trace, leaving Osha to find a way to slice into the console herself. You know, she's like, unless you want to climb. And he's like, yep.
Yeah, she's like, this is the only way we're going to get in there. And he's like, if that's what you think, deuces.
Deadass, no.
I'm like, okay, so you just teleported in there. What did he just float up? Did he, I don't know. I know. Is it that crazy? I don't want to let it out there. I mean, I'll say it so it's in public, so it is down there. Like that he is somehow a force projection, but like Kymir's there. He's there. He's a person. He's
tangible.
There's no
I was
shot.
going, is there any way he learned the power of the witches and can dissipate? And that's why he's just kind of I mean, like, this is a classic trope, this is like stereotypical Batman shit, like, does he do that all the time? Yeah, you'll get used to it. Like he's just there and then he's gone, So like, I don't want to put too much mysticism on it. In fact, it's been done by someone who is like purely human in stories, So like, that's why I'm like, I don't anticipate it being something like that.
I mean, he is like teaching her a lesson there, though. He is like, like that's kind of his goal, or like if that's what you think,
figure it out,
yeah. And so, man, I wonder if he just knows. Like he has trained with May for quite a long time, and like I wonder how much of their abilities he knows now, just being with May for that whole time,
right?
And when May puts the helmet on, if she did that, like, did this happen before? Did he have to like take May out common? Is this how he knew what to do, or is this just the force shit? It's just what you do whenever he just had to connect to her.
See, and that's where I get upset about the
May.
I think Osha is Osha's a wonderful character. May exists purely as a foil to her, like she exists purely as the the not OSHA. Like, that is what she is, So, like, it would have been nice for me to be able to tell you, like, yeah, I don't know if she has this. I assume she has the exact same capabilities as May because we're learning they're the same people.
Mm-hmm.
But is there something to the idea that OSHA, the way it takes her and the way she's able to possess Chimere inadvertently, could May do that? Is that something she was able to do? Because she says, like, it's something my mom was able to do. She, like, May expressly says something like that at some point. It was OSHA who said, like, my mom used to be able to do that.
It felt like OSHA did this on accident. Like, it wasn't like a purposeful.
Yeah, no, she
was
definitely
like,
didn't mean to do it. It was
May. It feels like it would be purposeful for her. Like, she knows she kind of like maybe would have this, so she would maybe be trying it. But I don't know. Maybe when May put the helmet on for the first time, the same thing happened. Like, it activates this power that is inside of them that we still really don't. We fully don't know. Like, we fully don't know what Mother Anasea's power or like there if it's just the Virgins part or if there's like Virgins plus.
There's more there.
Yeah, it's like something's going on, and it's now to season 2. I feel like it's going to be important to season 2.
Well, one thing that I never really considered is that Coral is a Zabrak.
The lineage
from Dathomir.
There. Yeah, the lineage there is pretty. Are the Night Sisters
plain?
I guess the Night Sisters are already a thing. So
yes, the Night Sisters are well established. She wouldn't be creating the Night Sisters or anything. But if she needs a place to retreat to,
they would take
the
her
home planet. Yeah, I'd imagine so.
I feel like she aligns with them.
Their kind of vibe, generally. But who knows?
There was someone's theory that Coral is Plagueis's, maybe not master, but at least this is where Plagueis truly learns the like information that he found Coral, the one who carried them, and is like how learns from the source. But it would, I think, just her joining the Night Sisters because we didn't get her here. She didn't come back up to save May as we thought that maybe she was the one to save May and get her out. I guess that's still possible, but.
Yeah, but because she does say, I was sucked into this tunnel. Okay. That's not a power that I feel like that tunnel would have. But
maybe Coral did the same thing that Mother Anasea was trying to do.
Like broke her down and reintegrated her over there. Like I could see that. I could see that.
I don't know if Coral has that power, but
she does. She dissipates
like herself
during
but
the episode
to do to May. If Mother Anasea is the only one to be able to do that, or if they all can just kind of save each other. I don't know. It's a new power. I don't know. It's.
Yeah, we don't know anything about this shit, so it's pure speculation at this point. But yeah, the explanation for how she got out, where she's like, I got sucked into this tunnel and crawled out. I was like, okay, but I don't buy that entirely. But I also don't know why we would ever explore a more thorough explanation. So like, that's why I'm like, I think that's probably it. But hey, it is what it is. But. Anywho, Sol is confronted in one of the halls by Chimere, who thanks him for leading him to May. And they spar. Elsewhere, May and OSHA meet again. May attempts to tell her the truth of that night Sol killed their mother. And she doesn't believe her, and they spar as well. Perfectly mirrored movements, the same instincts, the same times, the perfect opponents, and the perfect compliments.
Oh,
that was hard as fuck.
Oh,
that was hard as fuck.
Oh, the kick to make the X, and then the cut to the sabers.
Then the cut to the god damn!
Come on,
yeah, they went in. They went in.
They were cooking and before I was like, don't cut away from the fight. I want the fight in its total, but this was like the good.
The way they
forth.
added it. Oh, it was good. They
good.
edited this well.
This was very nice, and I don't know why people are trashing on the jump from the bridge, the slow-mo shot. Why are people?
Yeah, that's boring as shit. To hate that, because
I thought
cool.
It was dope as fuck.
it just very clearly takes after Hong Kong kung fu filmmaking. Like it's
look at the set
like I saw
they're
someone
on. Like it's
I saw someone expressly say, "What in the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is this shit?"
And I've never seen it, so I was like, "Is this like a 1-to-1?"
Crouching Tiger,
shot,
Hidden
or...
Dragon is a fucking incredible movie. No, it's I mean, like it's just wire work. Like a lot of the action in Hong Kong action films, you know, like they inexplicably run up walls and run through trees, and like they jump inexplicably far distances, but they're not superpowered. They're just people, you know. Like it's the idea that they've mastered the art of kung fu so thoroughly that they are able to do this.
So we're actually in the universe where wires are actually not needed, and so it's literally
so like
Isn't
that
that
shit's
cooler?
that shit's fucking cool. Yeah.
And
that's the thing, is that like maybe the person wasn't being disingenuous, and that it just felt that way because I want to assume people are negative about this.
It feels like
most of them are.
My initial reaction was, what I put it in there as an initial shot, like as one of my favorites. So I'm like, I mean, maybe it is just a lens thing. People are picking apart anything, but like I saw it as fucking sick.
That's fucking sick. Yeah. No, and I mean, like the influences from. I mean, one of my first thoughts was obviously The Matrix, but like The Matrix is thoroughly influenced by Hong Kong action films, and that's kind of where that and kung fu movies, which is where a lot of the action set pieces come through in here. And I really, really appreciated the blend that they were working with, where they continue their fight, they go at it, their sabers clash in a beautiful frenzy of blue and red haze, and Chimera throws his sabers at Soul, who deflects them in kind. Chimera attempts to attack him without a weapon, as his weapons fly directly into Soul's back, and Soul powers up and lets out a force spiral that like cracks the ground underneath him and sends them all flying. I was like, that was fucking sick.
All while like putting his saber away and then doing it, and then like and then to take it back out, you know, like all just
God. Soul was fucking pimp in this final battle, dude.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
He had this shit on lock.
God.
And he did. He won.
Yeah. No, he did.
Chimera getting the shit back and locking it back in. God, that was sick.
He was pissed.
God, it was sick. Yeah, this was, I would say, without a doubt, the only lightsaber battles that hold a candle to it are Obi-Wan Anakin, Obi-Wan Maul.
That's what we're talking about right now. That's it's crazy. Like they delivered.
And then besides those two, it's the one that was in episode 5 where Chimera took on all the fucking Jedi and Jekki and Soul.
That might be two. Like I mean, fuck. Like I don't know. I don't know where to rank them. Maybe that's a fun debate.
That's a fun
to have
pod
now.
idea one day.
And maybe
a segment dedicated to that one
need to
day.
be removed a little bit, maybe from the hype. But like
recency bias might weigh in. But I mean, I have a tough time imagining I'll ever come away and be like, oh, this isn't as good as I remember. You know, like oh my God, is it electric?
Is just, I don't know. I wanted him to fucking take him apart and then click it back on and have a double saber and then go in.
I sadly don't think it does that.
I know, man.
He would have done it.
God damn it. Maybe they're saving it for season 2. Who knows? We didn't get Vernestra's
maybe. No, and I mean,
whip,
like,
so,
we never, I mean, we got the whip once and it was to take out a fucking Umbra mob.
Yeah.
And like,
so we're going to get a fight, man. You know, it's happening. It must. If not, I will riot. If I don't get a whip fight, I need to see it in a fight, you know.
Oh yeah,
but maybe
they'll figure that out.
How do you do that though? That's like in books and stuff. I don't know. I feel like it's easier when you don't have to actually visually.
You have to see it. Yeah, like it's
that's gonna be tough. But
well, and that's the thing too, is that it can become a normal saber too.
So it's not
she can whip it out, and then she can like lock it up, which is really cool. And that's kind of how she fights. It's a mix. If it's at a distance, she uses the whip. Up close, she doesn't. You know. She has the ability to switch back and forth, which is fucking gnarly. You know. And I pray this gets renewed. It hasn't yet. You know. I hope it does. It's gotten ridiculous.
Wrote season 2.
Oh, they wrote. They at least wrote. They have ideas. You know, like they know where they're going with it.
There wouldn't be this many cliffhangers if they didn't want a season 2.
Know they are doing it. They know they want to do a season 2.
Yes.
I mean, this put up numbers that I mean, the biggest streaming premiere for Disney Plus in 2024. It was big. You know, people were watching it week to week. The merch sold out.
That's right.
You know, like
Yeah.
it was like it's first time since probably Mando season 1 and season 2 that it feels like a show has captured the general audience again for the first time. But I mean, Emily watched the whole fucking show with me. She's never watched a Star Wars thing with me. That is like, we've never watched a Star Wars show together as it was on. And we've been together since Mando season 2 was happening.
And that's
You know?
Baby Yoda. I mean, like,
Yeah.
that's Grogu. Yeah, this. I feel like the level of entry is so you don't need.
It's low, man.
You don't need to know anything, really.
You need to like cool shit. That's all you need to like, you know? And you need to not be a bigot. That's all.
Maybe the less you know, this would honestly be the best place to start ever, because
it might be.
you'll get the best action, you'll get like all this different sides of Star Wars, and then like you can just get the more critically refined movies and stuff, you know, if you want.
Oh yeah,
that
and I
way.
talked to you last night about like we exchanged some thoughts about the Plagueis cameo immediately after, and I think that cameo's only underwhelming if you know who Plagueis is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't, you're like, who the fuck is that guy? You know, like, okay, let's go.
Yeah. And at first, my first reaction was, oh man, why just show him but not give us anything more? That was my initial reaction. And then, but now that I've been thinking about it, I've just thought of every possibility of, is he the master? Is he is he there to kill Chimera?
Yeah.
Is he actually in cahoots with Chimera and they're planning some shit? It wouldn't make sense with the rule of 2, but like, I don't know. Like, there's so much more that I'm now thinking of Plagueis, knowing that he's in the show for sure, you know, or knowing that he's there, and
that he exists. You know, like he is. This is his time. You know, because like I said, never watched a Star Wars thing with Emily. You know, we've watched a couple of the movies, but like, she's not looking at this and going, "Is that Darth Plagueis?" You know, like
that's just a creepy evil.
She
dude.
went, what the fuck is that thing?" You know, like that was her genuine reaction. Was like, "Ugh." She like told the kitty to not look because he'd be scared. You know, like that was. And I'm like, that's fucking cool, and I loved the design. We didn't really mention that, and it's obviously really shrouded in shadow, but goddamn, was that fucking cool. So, all that to say, there are tons and tons and tons of cool ideas and so much fun execution. And these lightsaber fights are just some of the examples, but they face off one more time, Soul and Chimera. And this time Soul ends it, cutting Chimera's saber in half. Was quite afraid that he just ended him.
Yeah, I thought they did the classic, you know,
samurai.
Yeah,
like,
and I'm like, no.
I'm like, no, please no.
I guess I thought going into it, I thought like maybe we would lose him. I'm like, it's possible. I didn't want it to happen, but it was really scary there. Luckily, just does the little saber still work now? You know, he did.
Oh, that's a good question. You know, they were reconnected again. I wonder how thorough of a cutting that did.
Because it's just the top emitter. It's not like the crystal is gone, right?
Crystal looked intact.
He didn't slice through the crystal, so yeah, I don't know. Maybe he just uses his little dagger now.
No, that just means we're getting a new saber season 2, which is.
He's gonna need to build a saber for himself. Maybe he says, let's get rid of this. There's too much history. I don't know. With, you know, maybe Osha builds herself
poetic.
one, or she keeps it.
Too poetic.
You think
she's gonna keep that?
I guess it bled. It was fucking. We'll get.
It's hers now.
But so yeah, I guess I'd be all right with it. But I would also like they both make a saber at the same. They both maybe need a new saber. They're like, fuck it, let's start from fresh. But. Or
that would be gnarly.
They swap. I don't know. Maybe they just go back and forth. They just
whenever they're like holding the sabers against each other and the crackles are like popping off of his helmet and stuff. Like that was fucking sick.
Why not just give a little headbutt? His saber's done. right? Like why didn't he use the helm? Why wasn't that used in this battle? That was my only thing. It was a sick ass battle. I loved all the choreography, but how was his head was right fucking there. He doink, problem solved, right? Like
maybe that moment was supposed to be a sign that the cortosis isn't as strong as it was earlier, and because of the battle,
it did break. So, and maybe he didn't use it ever. Like it was like, I don't know. Maybe that is, because
it's the metal popping. It's not the saber sparking. It's as the heat approaches his helmet, it goes. It's like sparking out.
It feels. Yeah, is that showing that the metal's like weakened, or that it's as it's getting closer, it is kind of like starting to stop? Like it's.
I don't take it to be an activating factor. I take it to be a weakening factor, because if that was what it did, his helmet would have been fucking sparks flying the whole time he was fighting a couple episodes ago. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Man, yeah, because I guess if he thought it was gonna stop the I don't know. Like it was. It was weird that it just wasn't used in this fight at all. That in every other conflict he had, it was, and he made it a thing to use it.
Oh, yeah.
But then here to not. Yeah, it's. Man, I really thought cortosis was going to come around and have a little bit more juice to it as well. But maybe I'll have to wait till season 2, or it's not even important.
What do you?
But
yeah, what do you expect? There.
So Chymere's hideout has like that big vein running through it, and it could just be he needs it for his helmet and whatever, and so he forges it. But on Brendock, it was a mining. I don't know. That's their base of operations. It was an old mining something, and
facility. Yeah,
they were mining deep. Cortosis. I feel like it's in the fucking core. And Chimere. This is why it's such a nice location. Is it never comes up on the surface, rarely,
right.
And so I don't know, but at least on
Brendock, I like that idea.
At least on Brendock, maybe that's why the accident, like that's why everyone died, is they tried to mine it and get it, and if you do it wrong, it just maybe it sends out like a just
giant
it killed
explosion.
It killed everything. But I guess they say it was a hyperdrive accident on Brendock, right? Or was that the explanation for
Well, that wasn't the explanation for why there was no life left. That was when they initially found out the planet didn't have life. And by that they mean barren. Like it didn't have plants.
No trees, no anything.
Yeah, like
nothing.
It didn't have anything 100 years earlier.
Yeah, something's going on, like something is going on there.
Yeah,
I guess it could also just be that. But I feel like cortosis, it shrouds. It's a Magneto helmet, and maybe you just in that cave, he doesn't need to wear the helmet because it's just literally that vein is right there, and it's like a natural, shroud kind of thing. So that's why he can
that's
just
a good call.
hide
I like
from
that.
Plagueis there.
I like that idea.
But I don't know. I feel it doesn't need to come around. It's just a cool new metal, a cool new technical part of Star Wars that could be.
Yeah,
interesting
that'll
to
probably
explore.
get explored a little bit. If not here, in some sort of ancillary material where they further explain the properties of it.
I like it.
We'll have something to go on, because there's almost certainly going to be an art of book for this movie or for this show. Because we've had the art of the Mandalorian and the art of the High Republic. Even we've had the art of a lot of stuff, the Rebels and all of it. So I imagine there will be an art of the Acolyte, and that is where they will go into some of the properties of cortosis, why they decided it would look that way, why.
Is that like concept art stuff? They go in oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah,
I love a good art of book. I've got Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2, and the High Republic and Rebels. Those, and then the Batman and Into the Spider-Verse. But as far as Star Wars is concerned, I have those 4. They're good reads too. They're highly informative. Like it's just cool to know the production process of it, how they settled on this design, why they went with this vision for it, why they did I would love that for the Acolyte, because we do have precedent for what High Republic era stuff looks like because of the High Republic, but this is an evolution, so I'd like to see them kind of explore that. And I imagine we'll get that. But anywho, Soul holds the saber to Chimere's throat. And he does not get a chance to do anything, even though I don't believe he was going to do anything, as May arrives, battling him off, and she steals his weapon and has him perfect in his sights. Chimere asks that she finish her training. Her journey will be complete. Strike him down. And she refuses, tossing his saber away. She wants him to face justice, confess what he did, face the council, the Senate, the galaxy. And he tries to explain. He believes that their mother created them through the Force. She used the virgins here to do it. They are not sisters. They're the same person. Do you understand what kind of power that is? Nobody has ever been that powerful. We need to study it. We need to know what it is. And nearby, May watches Osha pick up Soul's dropped saber. May presses the issue. You know, you killed our mother. And he goes, Yes. And Osha then voices her concerns. Is this true? He begrudgingly turns, but honestly confesses. Yes. He then tries to justify it. He did it for her so she could be a Jedi. He thought it was best for her. She tells him, stop talking. Everything he did it because he coughs. He cannot breathe. May looks to Chimere, who returns the look in kind, but it is neither of them doing it. Osha voices again, stop talking, as she squeezes down on Soul's throat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is my scene.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, feels like it's got to be. I mean,
it's the scene.
The fight leads up to it, and then this is the
climax,
and
this is it, man. Like, and this is what we've been. I can't describe enough how much I saw it coming and how much it hurt like a bitch anyway. Like, man, it really sucks to watch Osha do this.
Yeah,
I love this character, and I love the journey they've gone on, and to take it here is bold and ballsy, and goddamn is it good.
Did not expect it. Did not expect the full. I mean, I guess we thought like she's gonna kill Soul. You know, it's poetic. It just makes sense. But like, I thought at least maybe me, I'm like, well, then she'll come back. You know, she won't go all the way. This won't cause her to go off the deep end. And
it's too deep,
and whatever,
man. Like,
but,
you kill your dad.
Yeah. No, that's
you know, because when she starts choking him, he's going, I did everything because I love you.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's when
like,
she
that
really
is
cuts him off as well.
Yeah,
it was like,
yes,
no,
I did this because and that's when he can't get it out, and like that's good shit, man. Oh my God, is it fucking good? And she squeezes his throat tighter, and as she does, the saber in her hand closes tighter in a grip, and the kyber crystal makes contact with her skin. And when it does, it changes from blue to blood red.
Come on, man. Let's fucking go. You know, I guess the only time we've ever seen it is in a game, you know, in the second Fallen Order game, so it's finally nice to see it. I guess, have we seen it in animation, I guess?
No.
I don't I didn't
we've
think
never
so.
seen
so,
we've never seen a kyber crystal get bled in video games are storytelling, so I'm trying to find the word. On screen. I don't count video games as on screen. They're on a screen, but they're not on screen.
Yeah. And is it knowledge? Like, is it common knowledge that this can be done? Like, do the Jedi know that this is a process?
How this happens?
Yeah. Or is this kind of like a holy shit? Like, if I guess I don't. Is this common knowledge to Force?
I don't know.
Or...
I don't know at this time. I'm assuming it is, because the Sith aren't. The Sith used to exist. Like, and they knew the Sith existed, and they fought the Sith, and they battled the Sith. I'm assuming the Sith were and are something they can study, and they know some stuff about them. And I imagine this would be something that's not hidden knowledge, you know. I'm assuming it's not common knowledge, You know, I'm assuming that it's not like every Jedi knows, well, if you let your emotions get away from you and you touch your kyber crystal, it'll bleed, you know? It's just kind of something that...
Kind of like on the secret
sometimes,
menu. It's like we don't really want to talk about it, but
this happens.
It is how it goes down. But, okay. Yeah, but...
Yeah, no, and I mean, like, Amanda Stenberg has to get the performance also.
Oh, yeah.
In this moment, they're fucking... Oh, my God. The way they... tear up in the mix of anger and sadness and betrayal and everything all in this moment, and it all getting channeled right into that crystal and right around Soul's throat.
The literal bleed, like it literally like looked like blood just kind of seeping
dripping
in there
down. Yeah.
Ooh, man, it was sick.
Oh,
yeah,
it was gnarly. And he speaks his last words. My favorite line of the episode. Osha, it's okay.
Woo. I mean,
gives her permission, essentially. Like, yep. Like, nope, I get it.
Is he like, this is him finally realizing his faults, you know? Like this is everything. He's like, well,
yep. You know, if you would do this, I deserved it.
Basically,
you know,
he would have done. He did kill himself here in a way, like this.
If he accepts his faith or his fate, I should say. You know, it's not that he like. If he could have made it out of the situation alive, he would have. You know, it's not like he was going to die here no matter what. But in this moment, when he sees what his betrayal, what his actions did to the girl he thought he was protecting, he thought loved him, and he knows he loved her. When he sees the way that his actions directly impact her, he goes, I'm good then. Yeah. You know, like, this is, if that's how this makes you feel, I deserve it. And like, that's incredible. Like, that's actually really, really, really effective father storytelling. First of all, you know, like,
obsessing so hard over wanting the best and wanting her to be a Jedi, only did the exact opposite eventually. Like, and it is out of good intentions, but it is selfish. It was his own. It wasn't truly thinking of what Osha wanted.
All of that hits him here. You know, as he's looking at Osha squeeze the life out of him, he's like, yep, this is my failure. You know, like, that's what he says to Vernestra in the first episode, whenever he's like, if Osha really did this, it's not just her failure, it's mine, you know? And I think now we have a lot more context as to why it is quite literally his failure. And man, did it hit me. But she squeezes the final breath out of his lungs and he collapses to the ground, dead. Overwhelmed by emotion, Osha freezes and drops to her knees. As Chimera approaches and attempts to comfort her in a way, she draws Soul's saber, ready to strike. The blade rises and flutters, slowly growing from a beautiful blue beam to a blade of crimson. And she realizes now what she has done and who she is now. May looks on in awe. Yeah, that's fucking cool too. The slow overtaking of the blue, that's gnarly. I didn't realize it would do that. That's fucking awesome.
I thought it would just ignite red from the get-go, but
like least... when it did ignite blue, I was like, oh, and then it was like, and I was like, oh,
wait, hold on.
You know, I was like, oh, that's
it can only happen one time, you know, or maybe there's a reverse unbleeding process that can happen that we might, I don't know. We'll get
that's
there.
why Ahsoka's sabers are white. They're purified. They're cleansed.
Oh, wow. Is that in novels? Is that how?
I can't remember how we know that.
Oh my God.
It might be the novels, because it's not Rebels. She shows up in Rebels with white sabers. We watch her get rid of her sabers, leave her sabers behind at the end of Clone Wars. Then she has new sabers. So I'm assuming maybe they're Inquisitor blades that she has taken. But that is why I believe that's why they're white, is she's cleansed them. Cool. She's cleaned them. But yeah, that's fucking gnarly. But there is no way to get the color back, though. I think once you cleanse them, they're just a beam of white light. But Vernestra and the others then arrive. Good timing. Good job, guys. Got here just in time.
Damn.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, she steps off her ship and immediately senses Chimere, who senses her as well. She is astonished to find him alive.
mm-hmm.
She goes, you're alive.
Yeah,
And she says she knows where they are and to follow her. And Basil follows too. He's here now. I love that Basil ended up being like important, you know? Like that's kick-ass.
You know, we're arguing whether the Jedi are good or evil. You know, now it's up in the air. But Basil's
good.
Basil's good. Basil's a beacon of hope. We can.
He unknowingly killed Soul, but he's good.
We can rely on Basil. It's okay. Soul kind of deserved it. We're beyond it. Basil's cool.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Basil. Well,
Basil greater than Soul.
I think I would now. Soul was just a very selfish Jedi.
And that's the thing too, is that like they're speaking a lot to the way the Order's tenets and the inability for any human to stick to them or person to stick to them. It's not possible. Like that's what Ryan Court says. He's like, it's not possible for you guys to do this.
Yeah.
You know, it affects certain people in different ways. Of course, you know, he didn't break bad, but he was selfish, and and because he wasn't supposed to feel that, he tried to justify it. So he kept trying to get deeper and deeper into this pit, and it ultimately buries him. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And like that's so like again like. Yes, Soul is at fault. You know, you got to take accountability for your actions. That's certainly the case. But I don't think he'd feel precisely the way he does about it if he wasn't a fucking Jedi. You know, like
Yeah. They have to leave all of their attachments or let them all go. But then within the Order, if you have your own Padawan, you are going to form an attachment between them. Like it's either a father-son or, you know, a parent relationship or like a brother or kind of like a, you know, well, that's when it went bad, I guess, is when it was more of like a brother relationship.
There was more going on there.
Yeah. But I mean, they do form relationships within the Order itself.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of hypocritical.
And I think it's also important to recognize that love isn't inherently bad. It can buoy you to the light, you know, like, we see that happen at the end of episode 5. Whenever he has Chimere dead to rights, he's about to fucking kill Chimere. And then Osha's like, Soul. And he's like, right. You know, he's like, never mind. You know, like that's a really good example of like how you know Soul is a good man. You know, Vernestra's not lying. Like she is lying at the end of the episode, but that's not what she's lying about. Yeah. You know, like he's a good man and he meant well, and these things happened and he did a terrible thing. And obviously that's the lie, but you know, he wanted to do right. So like, yes, I want to say, like, I'm not like, boo, Osha, why would you kill Soul? No, that's a good story beat, and it actually makes sense. I like it. But that's what's cool about the nuance of this story, is that I can both recognize that Soul was a pretty good fucking man. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he had to die. You know, like that's, in that moment, there's no other choice. Like that is, I would have felt shortchanged if Osha lets go. You know? If Osha lets go, I'd have been like, no. You know, I'd have been like, you got to go through with that, girl. You know, like, keep it going. Because then what's the alternative? You know, like, what happens after that?
Or
Does he face the
Senate? Is he even in trouble?
Does Vernestra try to cover it up? You know, like, that's the thing, is that, like, this is what had to happen. And that's why, like, another thing that's been really interesting amidst covering House of the Dragon for Penny Bloompod and this is stan culture, which, you know, if you're going to dedicate your online persona and your online personality to a show, or more specifically, this is where I start to take issue, characters, do you, but it's also fiction. Mm-hmm. None of this is happening to real people. You know, I saw people really upset about Soul's death. Really upset about Soul's death.
In what way? Like what?
They shouldn't have done that to him. That's bad. They shouldn't have done that to him.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, they shouldn't have done that to him. That's kind of why they did that to him.
Crystal's bleeding. It's showing that she's going bad, going dark.
So, like,
it is a bad thing, but it needed to kind of happen. It's like
it's a story.
That's the point. That's the whole juice, right? Like that's
like we're pushing a story forward. There's a narrative here, and Soul's a character in it. But hey, I mean, and it's way worse with House of the Dragon. It is so much worse with House of the Dragon. Oh my God, is it fucking awful with House of the Dragon? I see some brain dead, stupid ass shit on Twitter about how this character shouldn't have done that. He wouldn't do that. Well, guess what? He did! Because it's fiction!
Yeah, like what?
It's a television show!
It's so weird to, like, defend the books or to defend the canon.
A character.
To, like...
I know I said earlier that if Vernestra did do that, I would be a little upset because it feels out of character. But I also wouldn't be like, if it's the right choice for the show, it's the right choice for the show. Like, fuck it.
Kind of like Vernestra in the books is gone. That character's still there.
That character exists.
That you liked the whole time. You like them for a reason. It's not like, just because...
So, like, that's my thing, is that, like, there's this really interesting blend of things where, like, I saw another tweet the other day that was like, how conceited do you have to be to, like, to feel like you decide what is canon, what isn't canon. And I agree with that to a point. Like, you don't get to decide that for other people. You 100% get to decide that for yourself because, again, it's fake. Like, you get to decide anything you want. Like, it's... Now, you can't go, like, this is what I believe, therefore it is the correct thing to believe. Like, don't push what your version of events is on other people and be like, this is the only thing that is. No. But if you think, like, for example, if you think the sequels never happened, they don't have to for you. Now, what you shouldn't do is go tell people who do like the sequels that they don't exist, that they're not real, and that they don't count. Like, that's where you're going off the deep end. Like, canon can be whatever it is to you. It can be whatever you want it to be. But you don't get to tell other people what that is, And I think, and you get to tell them, you don't get to decide it for them, is ultimately what I'm getting at.
Man, I mean... But, I just want to take in all the new Star Wars there is and, like, not fight about it. That's like, why can't we just, like, get this cool, these epic, like, we're getting some cool ass shit that even the people that hate the show are still like, all right, well, can't lie. They've done well on the action. They've done well on this, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, so you do recognize that there are still good things, but then at the end of everything, they're like, there's nothing good about this show. It's ruining Star Wars, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well...
For weeks, they were like, where's Plagueis? Plagueis shows up, and they're like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's bad faith. Like, that is, you are engaging with the show on a level where it is not going to please you. Like, you've decided it's not going to be good. Like, it's...
Yeah, I was just mad that Plagueis showed up for, like, a story thing. I wanted more of him in the season. I didn't want it just to end. Not that he was just showing up in general. Yeah, it's just sad. It is a weird state to be in with the fandom, but
it just really sucks that so many people have made a lot of money and have grown a lot of following born of being negative. Like, you realize that you, and I hate to politicize it, but a lot of it is just like, it's based in the bad faith, bigoted criticisms that you can go off of, and obviously you can frame it as like, this isn't Star Wars. This isn't what they do here. This is not what it's ever been. Guess what? The story's existed for nearly 50 fucking years. It's evolving.
And
A story should not be the same fucking thing for 50 years if they're going to keep adding to it. You know, like, so...
To say not to politicize Star Wars as well, and literally that's what they've been about the whole time.
Since day one.
It's just politics have changed. We are in a new era ourselves as humans. We are not in the Vietnam War, as George, he was thinking and putting into his movies. We're in our modern era, and we're inputting our own take on our world in this fantasy galaxy far, far away. So
I gotta find the tweet that I quote tweeted earlier, because I mean, like, it was from someone who is notoriously, I shouldn't engage with them. You know, like, that's there are a lot of people I refuse to engage with, but I saw too good of an opportunity here to not engage with it. They tweeted, Darth Plagueis hiding in a cave the whole time got the idea to create Anakin from the lesbian space witches rather than it being his own idea. First off, he didn't fucking create Anakin, so fuck off. Then the next idea is thinly veiled cultural appropriation metaphor where the white man steals from the oppressed. Fuck this. I quote tweeted that and said, if you look at that creature and see him as a white man, says a lot more about white people than it does the story. That's
weird. That's a weird connection to make. Where did that come from?
Also, thinly, like, you are reverse engineering this take. You know, like, you have no idea that's what happened. The guy shows up. You said he hid in a cave the whole time. That's all he did. There's no evidence that he got the idea to create Anakin. He didn't. But like.
Yeah, what the... Wow, people are... That's just...
You're engaging and talking about stuff with, like, an idea of what was that, like, never even was?
Maybe it's the people that aren't watching the show and just going off the hate and going off the talk of the show, and they're just forming opinions off a show that they haven't even watched, and...
Yeah, I don't know, man. It seems like it most of the time. But that's the thing, is that they're forming opinions about something they didn't watch by relating it to stuff they clearly didn't watch. You know what I'm saying? Like, or at least engage with on a critical level. You know, like the hell stuff. It's been said that Plagueis didn't create Anakin. Yeah, he didn't create Anakin.
That's incredible.
You know, like
the hell thing
like
is the most telling out of all of them. That's like actually crystal clear. There's no muddied water there. That's sad. That is.
Oh my God. It's so we still got a lot of this breakdown. Sorry. And we're hour and 45 deep now. So May tells Osha that they need to go. She asks her to come with her. She knows a way out, and they run away together. The Jedi attempt to find a way and get to the elevator as Osha and May run for the pit that once changed their lives. Vernestra finds Soul. She senses the events that happened 16 years ago on that fateful night. She instructs her cohorts to form a perimeter and find the girls. She kneels by Soul, and we watch as Kymir sees her, whisper something in his ear.
Was so close.
She looks up.
No, just the battle. Sorry, just the fight.
Oh,
you know,
we were right on the. I thought it was
telling
coming.
Everyone
and
to leave. You know, hey, go away. Go check on this. I'm
Yeah.
right here in the middle where this fight just happened. And
you know what this tells me? You know what this tells me? Kymir doesn't stand a fucking chance.
He's scared. Yeah, he
knows.
He's scared.
Yeah.
He put that helmet on. He's like, I'm out. He's like, holy shit, no,
Yeah.
no. So that's fair. Yeah, at least he.
It lends a little to the idea that perhaps Vernestra and him engaged in fisticuffs and it didn't go his way.
Maybe that scar is from Vernestra. I don't know.
And it could be, you know, like if it all depends on context, you know, like it really depends on context. Is it a thing where he refused to back down? He just kept coming at her and kept coming at her and kept coming at her, and that's like yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do, you know. You don't like just Obi-Wan, you know, he didn't want to cut off 3 of Anakin's limbs. You know, it wasn't like, I'm going to just do this, you know? Like, it was...
I think the interesting part is that it's just on his back. The nature of a...
That's a pretty negative sign.
It's like, it's defenseless, you know? Like, that's the only... Like, Obi-Wan sliced up Anakin because he was doing a jump 360 to try to kill him.
He was being bold with it, yeah.
But I really...
That's why I still don't trust the idea that this is a scar from Vernestra. I think it's much more likely it's from a Sith master who cast him aside.
I'd like that. I'd like if it's Plagueis a lot more. Because it does look like it doesn't look like a whip scar. I don't know. We did
even
kind of accept
the whip
it,
doesn't have a, like...
It's jagged.
It would be...
Yeah.
You know, like it would have been multiple,
Uh-huh.
like a slice. Force lightning, if you hold force lightning, probably would do that, you know? Like, so that's why I'm like, we'll see. Hopefully, you know, I guess we don't know that, but I hope we do.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, May explains to Osha how she escaped 16 years ago. Osha is odd that she did it all so young, and they find themselves at the Boonta tree again. Osha says she's sorry that she didn't believe her, and May apologizes for starting the fire. Osha breaks down and sobs into her sister's arms, and she says, "You are with me, and I am with you." And May asks, "Who taught us that rhyme?" And Osha says she thought she made it up. And it is then that Chimera arrives, cutting them off before they can explore this idea any further. It's too awkward of a thought to have not been purposeful. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like they're trying to say something there. It's not a we'll just slide that in there. Like, she's just like, you know, like, where does that even come from? You know, like, who taught us that? You know, like, you'd assume it was your mom. You know, like, it's a nursery rhyme. But like, if you're expressly raising that as a question. So one of the interesting ideas that I like is that they were one person, and that in the splitting of them, this is some sort of incantation that split them into two entities. Like, it's the express spell.
This is
that
the ritual.
Separated them.
This is the ritual that they're saying while they're being born. So it's like, it's
been ingrained in them. It's not even like they learned it. They've known it since the day they were born, you know?
I wonder if it's just in the nature of their ability. Maybe it is that, and maybe it is the ritual, but the reason they know it is they can access just any point in time. Like, they're through, whether it's their power or the Virgin's power, I don't know. But like, it seems that they can access the future, but maybe it's the same with the
I mean, that's
past.
kind of the thing with Jedi, is that they can have premonitions. If you're a Force user, you can see.
Feels like, are theirs just that cranked on a different level, you know? Is that the idea? Or are theirs like actually they are seeing the future, like, because they are a virgins and whatever? Or is it just a...
I don't know that there's anything particularly to indicate that they're cranked to a different level here, as far as the visions are concerned.
Because I guess Jedi get the same...
Yeah, they get premonitions, you know? Like, Anakin's vision of Padme dying was exactly correct. He just was missing context. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was... You know, and granted, I'm comparing it to Anakin, who is another absurdly powerful entity. So, like, you know, who knows? But
the only other virgins that we know of, I guess.
Right,
you know,
as far as we know. Yeah, so, like, hard to say if the vision's specificity and accuracy is correlated to power level. I know that Vernestra has visions that she can see. You know, like, she can see what happens. Ryan Court even raises it. He was like, I'm shocked to hear you went through hyperspace. How's your stomach? She's like, it's my head, and I'm fine.
Yeah. That's cool. It's cool they're leaving it kind of enshrouded in mystery a little bit too.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well,
not
that
fully
means, like,
explained,
if we do explore it in season 2, I think we would actually get one of these. You know, like, they're alluding to these things with Vernestra that I feel like she will be, if we do a season 2, an important character, which is I'm excited for if we can possibly get that. But anywho, I like the idea that it's just the ritual that split them, and that's how they know it. The other fun idea is that it's like Plagueis has been watching over them, and he, you know, he would whisper in their ear this when they were young, and, you know, connect with them the way, like, Palpatine connects with Kylo. He's like, every voice you have ever heard inside your head was me, you know, like...
Oh, god damn. How involved is Plagueis? Like, how is he...
I wouldn't love if he was extremely involved. I would like it to be similar to Palpatine discovering Anakin. Not so much
So he had no involvement in the creation process.
I severely doubt that. I think that was Anastasia experimenting, trying to make something happen. I don't think it was a maybe they seek outside sources for help.
That's what I don't
know.
They're on the run. Their coven is, I guess, at war or some, I don't know, from some outside factor, and maybe they're like, shit, we're not dark people, but who are we going to turn to?
I would love to know more about the coven. Like how long were they here before?
I think that's why
this?
Coral, that like at least season 2, that's hopefully where
we get a little bit more
that.
information about that. I mean, I'd love to know. But anyway, it's then that Chimera arrives when they're speculating about where they learned this, and he says that if he could find them, so could the Jedi. All the while, Basil leads the Jedi on their way to find them.
Mm-hmm.
Osha tells him that they'll tell the Jedi what happened, and he cuts her off. Still, she puts her faith in the Jedi after everything. When they find out how powerful she is, they will destroy her, like her mother. And Osha looks to May and asks what they will do. And May asks, "What do you want?" And Osha looks to Chimera and tells him that she will train with him if he lets her sister go. And May asks if she is sure, and that the Jedi will use her to find them. But Chimera says he can wipe her memory, the traces of them. He looks to her, and May asks that he does it. And Osha says she can't lose her again, tears in her eyes. But May says that she is going to do what she is meant to do, referring to Osha. Osha is going to do what she is meant to do, and she's not going to stop her this time, which was a good connection to the, she wanted to go off and be a Jedi, but she didn't let it happen. So there's
yeah.
Osha May had the, she's just really not intricately formed. She's got really great idea, great arc, but she doesn't get a redemption. She's actively smiling when she kills Osha, when she kills Soul. She's like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, all right, here we go. There's there's this weird thing with May where I can't really they just didn't give her enough. They gave Osha more than enough, and that's why Osha is my favorite character of the episode and probably of the series.
Yeah.
All in all,
I guess I gave it to them both, but if I did have to pick one, it's definitely Osha. And I feel like they have a really cool arc with her now. Her forgetting things, having to remember,
and relearning.
We can relearn the Chimera things, the Coven things. Maybe.
I think it's important too because I would like to know how much we can explore Osha and Chimera, but her mission's kind of the vendetta. There's no vendetta, it's just training now.
Dude. Oh yeah, I guess because they've flip-flopped completely now. At first I thought there was the mini threshold of I don't know exactly what number it was, but when they met and then switched sides, but I guess it's still just they're separating apart, but now just May being in the Order. I don't know if she'll become a Jedi at least, but Vernestra is at least saying to help her find Chimera, and I feel like while they're trying to find Chimera, May or Osha will be training with Chimera, and we'll get the flashback of May training with Chimera while Osha is training, and it'll just kind of be this continuation of the
mirror.
But
and it's cool now to know May is running with Vernestra, who trained Chimera. She trained under Chimera, who now she's running with Vernestra. And is there another revelation? Does May discover, Vernestra's lying to her? Is there, do we come back around on that? I don't know. I'm excited to find out, but, and I hope we do get a chance to find out again, but, May says that she is going to do what she's meant to do, and she's not going to stop her this time, and Osha shakes Chimera's hand, or reaches out to shake his hand, but Chimera instead places Soul's saber in it, and she tells him to wait. They hug again, tears in their eyes. As they embrace, Osha begins the rhyme, and May goes along with it. It continues until May is unable to complete it, as Chimera wipes away her memory. They look at each other again with a cluelessness in May's eyes. They say goodbye for now, under the Bunta tree. I loved that the rhyme came back around in a heavy way. Oh yeah. I loved when she trails off, and that was wise. That was a really thoughtful touch. I liked that because like I thought they relied on it a little heavily. Like I thought like every time they came back to it, I was kind of like, okay, yeah, like I get it.
Yeah.
But this makes that worth it. It gives it a nice payoff, which I really, really appreciated.
Do you think the trail off, like she does trail off, but she's still kind of
there's something in there,
like
you know?
it's ingrained, like it can never truly be removed because it was before she even had memory. I don't know, and I felt it wasn't a clear.
She tries.
Yeah, it wasn't.
She's
like 1 second she knew it, and 1 second it was no words at all. It was still kind
of I think she trails off on that as above fly the stars, and below lies. You know, and she just kind of stopped, and like it's like kind of like
yeah.
And then the next line gets recited, and then she starts the next one, but she can't finish. So it's like it's not all gone. It's not like she's just like it's there, but then it's gone, and it's there, and then it's gone. You know, like
So only the OSHA memories have been removed from her, which is the same. I mean, they're operating under the same as they did before. Like May was operating under the assumption that OSHA was dead. OSHA knows that May's alive now, I guess. So that's right. A little bit different. But operating now that they're still dead. And then, oh man, starting her training. I guess I don't know if May is going to start training, but it is just starting with another lie, like a basis, like at the very basis of it. It's good intentions, but man, yeah, it does just cook for season 2. I guess it is a lot of talk, and
there's a lot of exciting stuff that could happen in a second season. But it is then that Basil and the Jedi find May, and they apprehend her, placing her under arrest. But she is clueless; she doesn't know what she did. Back on Coruscant, Vernestra sits with May, asking her restraints be removed. May says she's heard she's murdered people, but she doesn't remember it, and she explains her last memory. Vernestra informs her that this memory is when she was 8, and that's the last thing she remembers. He tells her that the man who killed her mother was a Jedi. He was her friend, a kind, brilliant, compassionate man, and he did a terrible thing. We then cut to the Senate tribunal, where she explains her version of the night on Brendok 16 years ago, and what has ensued since. 4 Jedi were stationed on Brendok. There they discovered a Force cult of witches. A conflict ensued. There were many casualties. Afterwards, the Jedi conspired to keep their actions secret. Recently, when the truth threatened to come out, a rogue Jedi named Sol killed his accomplices to maintain the cover story. We see then what she said to his body on Brendok. "I'm sorry, my friend." She says she and the High Council wholly condemn the actions of Sol. Then Ryan Court says that they cannot wait on a Senate vote, and external review of the order must begin immediately. And she assures him that while it was a tragedy, it was the work of one flawed man. She says that he was found dead on Brendok, in the spot where the horror happened. She believes he took his own life. And we see then that she commemorated him with a funeral worthy of a Jedi, burning his body as it floated down the river. And the shot of Vernestra in the blue light holding the torch was fucking gorgeous. I was like, holy shit, where's this been? Show me more of that. I loved it. But we then see her return back to her conversation with May. She says that Sol made a mistake. He lived with it for so long that it twisted his mind, justifying every selfish step he took with the love he had for her sister. May looks up confused and questions, "My sister?" It is then that Vernestra turns around and is like, "Oh,
you poor
girl. Does the name OSHA ring a bell?" And she's like, "No, I don't know what that is." And Vernestra's like, she pities her. "Oh, you poor girl. The Jedi have failed you, but we'll try to make it up to you." She tells her that they can help each other, and first she needs her help, tracking down her former pupil who fell to evil. This whole sequence was incredibly edited. That was one of the main gripes I've had with the show, is that its editing has been flawed. This episode, there was none of that. Yeah. It was supremely edited. And this explanation to the Senate tribunal cut with her talking to May
Oh yeah.
all explaining
Okay.
Soul. Oh, dude, it was
Man,
clean.
yeah.
It flowed really
They
well.
got the fight editing down and the exposition kind of like editing
Ooh.
down. Yeah, definitely. This was
Because we're cutting back to Brendock showing what she did there, and we're cutting to her explanation, her version of events, while they're showing us that she's lying, and all that stuff. Like it's really effective. But we cut then to the Mystery Planet where Chimera joins Osha on the waterfront. He takes her hand, the corrupted saber clasped between them. They look to each other and then to the horizon. The journey has only just begun.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, Michael Abels, the gentleman who scored this show. The music flair that happens in this moment is one of my favorite pieces of music in all of Star Wars. I was like, oh yeah, let's fucking do this, like, oh, and that's the guy who he scored Get Out, Us, and Nope. He's Jordan Peele's collaborator.
Hey, okay.
And it was nice to see him capture Star Wars in his own unique way while still paying homage to John Williams in a lot of really interesting ways. And the music swell that happens there just gets me fucking riled. And the shot of, I mean, obviously them holding hands, we're confirming that this relationship
That's not master and apprentice.
Is substantial. Yeah, there's something here.
This is yeah. There's something more going on, and I thought maybe it's a power of one, power of two. They, it's not just a typical master and apprentice. That there's going to be some other aspect
Partnership
with the,
almost.
maybe the Sith are into one way of the dark side, but then the thread is just another vein. And Chimere's like, well, why not use both? It's a thing I've never delved with. Let's teach each other. I don't know, but it seems no. It's just they have the hots for each other. I think that's just what this means. And maybe Chimere's forcing it a little bit. I don't know, but it feels that.
No, she's got a little grin on her face, like there's she's embracing what she's about to do, and I don't know what that is. I'm excited to find out because, I mean, it's whatever Chimera's goals are now. May's mission is complete. Osha got her version of revenge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's kind of like
it's
a No Way Home where like Osha's like, I'll find you again, like don't worry, I'll find you, I'll make you remember. So I'm assuming that hopefully that they reunite eventually at one point, and Osha does go back and save May, break her out. But maybe it's like she thinks that she needs to go back and save her, but then realizes that May is now living a good life. I don't know, maybe in the Order May's doing well. I don't know. And she actually does become a Jedi. I don't know. Maybe her and Vernestra get close, but then it leads to the same end that maybe happened with Osha and Soul. Like, it's very similar. Like, it feels like they're repeating history instead of being like, maybe we should like take ourselves out of this equation, And Vernestra is taking May in because the Order failed her, and it's Vernestra feels like she has to make up for the Order's failure, and it's kind of through that is like, yes, I will keep you here, I will make sure that this is remedied, but maybe through that's like her selfish, trying to remedy the Order is the same way that Soul is just wanting Osha for his own. But that's if May becomes a Jedi, which I don't think they're going down that route.
I don't anticipate that happening. No.
What does May do?
Maybe
what is May's character then? Like, where is it? Just she's gonna have to remember everything, and through that memory we'll learn everything with Chimera and her, and that's where it'll get interesting, or is it? I feel like she has to have something in the future. Like there's. It just doesn't feel like Osha has a lot, and we have no complaints with her arc here, but May's there's something missing. There is a big chunk missing that I feel hopefully we'll get in season 2, but I don't know where she goes in the future after we even get that flashback stuff, like after we get that revelation. So
hard to say with May right now. I have a tough time predicting her trajectory at all either. I mean, like, maybe it's just like she is kind of a blank slate. Maybe it is a little bit more of a rediscovering herself in the same context that OSHA was given the opportunity to, like when everything, she had a more metaphorical mind cleansing, OSHA did, with like the realization of what the truth was and being like, okay, well, now I see things for what they are. The context of my life has been redefined. This is now where I'm heading. May has a more literal version of that in that she can't remember her life. So now she gets a chance to start over. So I could see it being, I anticipate Vernestra taking her under her wing hard. Obviously not being a Jedi quite, but definitely a mentor, mentee sort of thing. Now, I don't know entirely what comes of that, I don't know how to connect that to what we've seen or anything, but like,
do they use her maybe? Like, she is powerful. Does she, I don't know if maybe that's another.
I anticipate Vernestra and avoiding telling her she has capabilities.
Does she forgets about OSHA, but does she
I guess she wouldn't forget she has
does
capabilities.
she know? Yeah.
Because she remembers the night when they were murdered, so that means she remembers training before that. Maybe the breadth of her capabilities or something. I don't know. Maybe I anticipate that Vernestra will try her best to quell that, though. Like, to be like, you probably shouldn't, though,
Yeah, I mean, it is a dark power that is unnatural to the Jedi. So I guess Vernestra would be just against it wholehearted. I don't know.
And we know that we do know that she goes to seek counsel from somebody.
That's true.
As the end of the episode, the end of the season, Vernestra enters a chamber with urgent news. She apologizes for the intrusion. The camera pans down to reveal the familiar wispy white hair and pointed green ears of a friend. And I am certain this is the Yoda puppet from The Last Jedi, by the way.
Really?
Yep. I can tell you with 100% confidence it is that puppet.
Just off look alone, or like,
Yep,
like a...
Yep, that's vibe. That's The Last Jedi puppet.
Well, if it's not, then damn good on the prop, whoever made it, to make a 1-to-1. Basically, but no, it looked. You're right. It did look exactly like the fucking dude. Wow, is that like not just in a museum somewhere? Did they just take it out of the display case for this one shot and then like? I guess that's very possible. It was just one shot. It was just from the back, no puppet even needed. Just have him stay still and shoot it. But does she? Now that she's talking to Yoda and not the Senate and not whatever, does she let some of these details like loose to Yoda? Does she actually trust Yoda with these details? How much of, or like...
Yeah. Yoda is the grand liar. Bro is the master of what Vernestra is doing. This is his bag.
I see.
So... And one of the reasons this is his bag is because people who do this feel they can confide in Yoda. Like Yoda's the one that they're all like, Yoda will know, and he'll be cool about it. Like he loves me. He loves all of us. He is the light. So like the thing is that every Jedi trusts Yoda unabashedly, which I think they should. But like this is what Yoda does. There's an example of it earlier in the High Republic, even where he covered up the existence of a creature that can kill Jedi by touching the Force. It's
okay. So,
turns them to dust. Yeah. So like he does this. This is something he's got in his bag.
Okay. Because I was wondering.
I do anticipate Vernestra's not going to lie to him. She's going to be like, here's what's going on. We need to keep it from the Senate. At least that's what I'm trying to do. And he'll be like, none of my business this is, you know.
Figure it out, you will. Yeah, important lesson you will learn. Yeah,
I will be very vague, and you will decide what you are going to do on your own, you know, like,
I saw someone being like, I just wanted to see if it was ketamine Yoda or not, you know, like if it was, I just want to see his face. Right. Is it fucked up? You know, how fucked
it's
up
Last
is it?
Jedi Yoda. It's Last Jedi Yoda. I mean, not to mention that that's the only Disney era Yoda. So I imagine for some reason Lucasfilm was fucking horrendous about holding on to their goddamn Yoda puppets. It's a different Yoda puppet from Empire to Return of the Jedi even.
Wow. That feels kind of nuts to not hold on to.
What do we... And I can't remember the behind-the-scenes story for why it's a different puppet. I don't think it was a production choice. I don't think it was like, he should look a couple days older. You know, like...
I wonder if someone just took him home, just straight up was like, I'm taking
might
Yoda.
Have.
Like,
you know, but yeah, and then they tried to make him look younger for the prequels, which is like, why? He's 100 years, I mean, like 30 years younger, and he's 950 years old. He looks the same.
He's got to age. He's that 30 years to him. No, that's
honestly, The Last Jedi is my favorite Yoda puppet, though. So I was very encouraged by that. I mean, aside from the original one, the original one's kind of, I mean, like, it's the original, so like it's hard to beat. But since then, The Last Jedi is my favorite Yoda look, and if he's going to be in season 2, which I kind of anticipate he will be,
they wouldn't do. Yeah, come on. No, you don't. You don't give us the Plagueis and the Yoda. It's the two big dogs at the time. You know, it's like
the bastion of darkness and the pinnacle of light.
Wow,
and
we're seeing the face of darkness in the back of Yoda. Yeah. That's interesting. And maybe just to not give the look of the puppet away. Maybe that is just it. It is. I think it's shot,
more. There's a more instant recognizability. Is that the word? Is that a word? But with the ears and the wispy hair, you know, like it's a good fucking shot too. By the way, it looks good. It was one of my favorites. But the little twinkle, like the playful music that plays during that, like it was a great end, man. It really, I think it stuck the landing. It became for me the second best Star Wars live action show.
Overall,
not the best. Not the second best season.
Ooh, that's tough.
But the sum of all of its parts, one season down versus 3 seasons of another one that has a rough ending.
Yeah, Mando did not stick the landing. As far as, it's right there with Mando for me. I don't know if I can put it above Mando yet. Season 2, man, if they even have to deliver on the shit that I'm thinking they're going for, like... This is it's already just kind of there with Mando. Season 2 is probably going to bump it up. Like, they have to fall hard to I don't know. I feel like they can't have
it's
it
easily top
down.
3 though, you know. Like I'm
better than Ahsoka, sure.
I think back to the 8 episode first season of The Mandalorian. There was a different kind of excitement about that because it was our first live action Star Wars show. There was an intensity to it. There was an excitement to it. The Rise of Skywalker was about to come out. Star Wars we were fucking doing it. You know, like it was that time. I mean, like, season 1 is critically exceedingly well done. I would not hesitate to call it better than this. And it has fun beats. What I will not hesitate to say is that this is a far better finale than season 1 of The Mandalorian. The culmination of the TIE fighter battle with Moff Gideon and the Darksaber reveal, like, that's cool, and it was really cool at the time.
I think, yeah, I'd agree with that. Season 1 finale for sure. Yeah, season 2, that's that finale is just, I guess, a little bit different there. But yeah, no, I had more fun, like, week to week of what the fuck's gonna happen, like trying to figure out the show, like this enjoyment, even though it, like, now that I can watch the show in total, I feel like I'm gonna watch the flashback episodes and stuff, like, back to back. Like, I feel like it's, I don't know the exact numbers, but like I feel it won't. I don't know.
Episode 3 and episode no, wait.
3 and
yes,
7.
Episode 3 and 7.
Yeah, it might be nice.
So 3, 7, 1, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like it would be nice because at least to have 8 and 6 play back to back. I think that would be really nice to just flow right into it and not have that flashback kind of in the middle and just kind of jump in.
I've
and
actually never been more confident that I could edit a series into a movie.
Ooh.
I'm like, I've never felt that way. I've always been astonished. People are like people have said that about like The Mandalorian. They're like, there are people who like experiment and do stuff like that. Like, it's the famous example is that like Topher Grace, re-edited the prequel trilogy into one movie. And apparently it's like good. Which is like, I don't know how you pull that off, but like, so like, it's always been unfathomable to me. I'm almost certain I could edit this into a movie. You know, maybe it wouldn't be like expertly edited, but like the story, like the way it would unfold, I feel like I could do that. 2.5 hours, or if that, and we'll be good.
This would kind of play better as a movie. I don't know. Like it just seems that if they're going to do week by week, they're not really writing the episodes to play as a week by week and give you that like House of the Dragon.
And some of them
kinda,
are, you know, some of them are, you know, like they hit that mark in certain weeks, in certain episodes. But yeah, it certainly wasn't consistent in that regard.
It's not. It's going to be nice to binge it. It's going to be nice to have it all in total and just have everything there and not. I don't know.
Because I mean, like, it's like all told, barely more than 4 hours.
This could be a really good movie.
Maybe close to 5. You know, like, you could cut this down.
Mm-hmm.
You could. And I mean, like, the thing is frankly, this is probably, and as good and as much as I liked it, the worst format it could have been delivered in. I think it would have been better as a movie, and I think it would have been better as a longer show. One way or the other. And I think it would have been better either way. And that's saying a lot because this is already solid. This is already pretty good.
Yeah, it just why 8 episodes? Like, why is that all we can do now? 6 or 8, you know, or are we lucky to get 10? You know, 10 feels like it should be the minimum for a TV show. I don't know. Is that...
Well, to be honest, I like to think that it's probably because people write movies and then they're like, make that a show. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Stretch it as much as you can, you know? Now this is, what's really befuddling to me is that, like, I don't think that's what happened here. I do think this was written to be a television series.
Is it? They had season 2 in mind, at least for the intro.
Yeah,
so
right. But, like, it feels like they almost restrained themselves to a point. Like they... The story's so quick and it unfolds so simply and to the point that I feel like it could have been a movie, but we could have added a lot of nuance and a lot more character if it is even 10 episodes probably could have done it well. Frankly, you know, like, and if not 8 30-minute episodes, 8 hour-long episodes, or 10. I mean, an HBO series of television is typically 10 episodes of 55 minutes or more. Like, that's...
Yeah, it's usually just the amount of time you need. It feels like just more time to cook is always good. It's always nice to sit with characters, have those slower moments just to understand. I don't know, just to understand them. And this was just very like next, you know, just the events of the story are unfolding, and it is a cool mystery, and it was cool. It got me. It was intriguing, and I was going down the webs of every possibility. But it would have been nice to have more, just to sit with Soul, sit with Vernestra more, like to have her a lot more in season 1. I Feels
I
like
mean, May. I just needed more May. She goes from being murderous, ready to kill. She sees OSHA. She's like, never mind. And then
I'm gonna turn myself in. Yeah, like and then back to
and
being
then that's
like,
it.
kill Soul, and then now it's like it's back to
and even then she wasn't like kill him. She was just trying to get him to see, or trying to get her to see. She was just trying to be like, they lied to you. Like it was like she's just trying to. So there was just that character. As much as I wanted to like her, and I did at the beginning, whenever it was kind of vague and it was more mysterious, knowing everything, it's like, damn, she had the opportunity to be much cooler than she was. I mean, when it comes to Soul, whenever it comes to Soul, OSHA, and Chimera, though, we did a pretty good fucking job there. Hard to nitpick anything.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it's a really, really solid episode or season of television. I would say it's definitely the best since Andor, live action wise. Hard to say if it's the second best season besides Andor. Don't know that I would go that far, but regardless, I don't have any other thoughts on this here season finale.
You left us with even more questions, even more. Left us definitely wanting more. That's for sure. I'm not thankful that it's over. I'm very eager to hopefully hear that season 2 is being renewed, and not just because of all this hate and all of this backlash that they have to cancel it. Because then
right.
Then Plagueis is in live action, and there was a Plagueis idea that was going to be explored, and then now it can't be because of this hate and backlash, and it's like, so like
someone will pick up the thread somewhere, like that's the thing, like, and that's why I'm like, if it's not going to get carried out on screen, I'm confident it'll get carried out somewhere, like it'll happen in books,
true,
specifically, but obviously, I'd prefer to see it on screen, but novels are really, really good, man. I would frankly, again, I agree that this was the worst medium to deliver the show in. It probably would have been better as a novel than an 8-episode series.
Damn it! A movie would have been better. A novel might have been better.
Yeah, and that's what's crazy. Like, and I say that more as like awed of just how good the story is, because like it's still good. And that's what's crazy, is that it's not really it's somehow a detriment that it was delivered in this fashion. Like, that's rare. It's usually like, I would have liked to see, I don't know. It's just, it's an oddity to me. And I really, really appreciated it.
Yeah.
But with that, I will do the plugs. If you would, head to Twitter, follow at the FULCRUM Pod, where you can keep up with anything we might be doing week to week. We're not stopping here, folks. We got another project cooking, and I'm announce that after the plugs here. You can also follow at Penny Bloom Pod, which is where you'll get news on everything we're doing. We are currently covering House of the Dragon, and we just passed the halfway point earlier this week, and we'll be on to Season 2, Episode 6 next Monday. This Friday, we continue Cinema Surprise with Arrival. This was a Joseph pick. He picked a sci-fi movie for us, one that I'd never seen, and I ended up loving it. So if you have not watched Arrival, you should watch it and check it out on Penny Bloom Pod. And if you have, you should check it out on Penny Bloom Pod. You should leave a 5-star rate and review and download wherever you might be listening. And you can also watch on YouTube. You can look up just look up Fulcrum, a Star Wars podcast. We're there. Check it out. Watch the episode. I got a nice little Vader comic on display. It's got the half red, half blue thing going on. The High Republic books, Star Wars shirt, pops. But yeah, you can see all that if you watch on YouTube. But yeah, with that, we will conclude this episode of Fulcrum, a Star Wars podcast, and we will be back next week with the kicking off of our Rebels rewatch. Sorry. We'll be kicking off our Rebels rewatch. We are covering Season 1, Episode 1 and 2 next week. We're following the Disney Plus format. That's a 2-parter. It's separated into 2 episodes. It was originally released as one. I don't really know why it's 2 episodes on Disney Plus, but it is. So we covered season 1, episode 1 and 2. That'll be next Monday, or not next Monday, next Wednesday on Fulcrum, a Star Wars podcast. Rebels Rewatch begins. We're doing that all the way up to November through the first 2 seasons, and then it's time for Skeleton Crew. So this isn't our last live action Star Wars thing of the year, and I'm very excited. That also is going to bring us the beginning of a new tradition where we're going to be doing trivia. This episode ran a little long. We're going to leave that out. But
Yeah.
we're going to have weekly Star Wars trivia for those listening. More just me and Joe asking each other, not really for the audience or anything. But you can participate. You can pause after the questions asked and try to think of the answer. Do what you want to. But yeah, so. Come on back. We're not stopping with the Star Wars TV. It carries on. Every Wednesday you can be here checking it out. But with that, I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, for light and life.